What's up, everybody? I got a vegan coming. I think his name is Isaac. And no, it's not Ask Yourself. But yeah, he should be here soon. I sent him the link. Oh, I gotta mute myself. I hear myself twice.
No, it's not Ask Yourself. You need a producer.
Yeah.
We can't hear him.
Well, I mean, you can watch. Yeah, turn on the stream, you faggot. God damn. Yeah, so yeah, I just muted Discord. Jay was telling me, oh, if we mute Discord, they can't hear me. We can't hear him. I'm like, turn on the stream, idiot. What's up, guys? I tweeted out this stream, but I didn't know if he wanted me to tag him in it or not, so I didn't tag him. But his name is Isaac. He seems like a cool guy. I'm not gonna go. I mean, we went back and forth a bit on that vegan gains debate with what's his name, with Brave New World, and we were kind of arguing about social contract and stuff like that. And I don't think they fully understand what is meant by social contract, at least not by other people. I guess they take it as like that's the laws that we make, but I don't think social contracts just the laws we make. I think that's a weird way to look at it. But yeah, but we kind of argued back and forth about that, and then I told him, and then he was just like, oh, so you're just here to like, be a dick and this and that. And I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I'll talk to somebody. If you guys want to talk, I'm not going to debate veganism, but if you guys just want to talk and like talk about your argumentation, then I'm cool with that, because I think the argumentation is flawed a lot of times, Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they have good arguments, but a lot of times it's very flawed. They don't understand certain aspects. He hasn't come in here yet, huh? Let me tell him. Let me see what he says. He said he never used Hangouts before, so he might be. Oh, he has to install a plugin. That's it. Oh yeah, I guess if you never used it for. Audience. I don't know if he wants any of his friends to come in. If any of his friends are here and you want more of your friends to show up, like retweet this and tag him so that people can see, so his friends can come in. I wasn't sure. I didn't ask. I wasn't sure if he wanted me to tag him on it or anything, so I didn't want to just tag him without him asking. I released the full interview. I'm sorry, Devin. I will not release the full interview. I don't want you to find out certain things about me. Name the Peruvian. Yeah. I'll name Tom Segura. He's Peruvian. Ho's take on veganism is... Who's H-O? What's that? Ho? Who's a ho? H-O. Now wait a minute, Alf, no! What's the topic on hand today? I don't know. He wanted to talk about veganism. Honestly, veganism is not a interesting topic to me, so I don't really give a fuck about talking about that. I'm not interested in it. But the original argument we were having was about social contract, because in that vegan gains debate, it sounded basically like they were trying to say social contract. Vegan gains was saying that social contract is basically like laws that we make for each other, and that's just not what it is. What's up, Isaac?
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sounds good.
Cool, man. How's it going?
Good, chilling, man. I was just talking to the audience. I think some of your friends are here.
Okay, cool.
There's a guy called Red Owl. I'm guessing he's with you.
Red Owl? Possibly. I don't actually know who that is.
Maybe they're just people from your circle,
Yeah, possibly.
So what's up, man?
Not too much. I was just at my buddy's house editing some tracks. I have this new band, and we just recorded some demos.
Oh, cool. What kind of music is it?
I would describe it as indie folk. I think that's the best.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the best way to describe it. Yeah, so
I play music. I play guitar.
Oh, cool. Cool, nice. Yeah, I play guitar and sing in this one. And awesome. Last week we were recording, which is why I had to reschedule. And thanks a lot, by the way, for being so gracious about that.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, so today we were just editing some of the tracks we finished recording.
But can you do me a favor? Can you hit that little camera button on the top? So turn off your camera, because It's just giving me a fuzzy screen whenever you talk.
Sure.
That looks probably.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's cool. Now it's like your icon. That's
cool. Okay, great.
So about social contract, is that what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about the social contract. First, I wanted to give a definition of the social contract to see if you are on board with it. Because if we're both talking about social contracts, but we're using different definitions, we'll just be talking past one another.
Yeah, which is what I thought was the problem with that debate between Vegan Gains and Brave New World. I thought they were both using different definitions of what a social contract is.
Right. So I would define a social contract as an agreement, implicit or otherwise, an agreement between an individual with other individuals or with the state.
I see it as it's something, if that is part of it, but I think a social contract is a biological thing. I don't think people even discuss it, or sometimes people don't even realize they are part of that contract. It's biological. Humans don't tend to eat other humans. Humans don't tend to do certain things. It's just in our instincts. It's part of our biology. It's come through evolution. We have a community for a reason.
All right. So yeah, I understand that you think there is something called a biological social contract.
Yeah. I don't think there is. There certainly is. Lions don't eat each other. That's a social contract they have without speaking.
I think they may eat other lions from other prides, but
yeah, but that's outliers, right? That's a rarity. It's more often than not they're not doing that stuff. They don't tend to have a need for that, right? Or wants for that. If they eat lions, it's mostly because like they're starving, or they kill them over territory and then eat them because the meat's there, right?
Okay. Why don't you just let me finish? Okay, so why don't I just talk about the social contract in its typical sense? So, yeah, the social contract is an agreement between individuals and other individuals and/or with the state that basically says that the person will place restrictions on their freedoms so that they can respect the rights of another person, and in return, the other people will put restrictions on their own freedom so that they can respect your rights. So, for example, if I want the right to life, that means that you are not free to just kill me unnecessarily, and vice versa. And then we have the state, who is kind of overseeing all of this, who will sort of come in and enshrine the rights in law and dole out punishments for people who violate those rights. So that's sort of the conventional definition of a social contract. I mean, there's different versions of social contract theory, but that's the basic idea.
But don't you think it's natural for humans to not eat each other? Is that just like a normal mechanic of evolution of community, and just naturally happens? I mean, people who do eat each other, those are outliers, right? Those aren't really normal society, right? Even going back to like caveman days, I don't think that people actually ate each other, or we wouldn't. Any species that eats itself is most likely not going to survive very long, right? They have to propagate faster than they eat each other, really.
Well, I think in pre-state societies, and for like humans existed in pre-state societies, as far as I understand it, for most of our history. I think in a lot of pre-state societies, if not most, people did eat each other. I mean, when the Europeans came to North America, there was indigenous people still living in pre-state societies who committed cannibalism. I mean, cannibalism goes on all over the world. The real point, though, is that cannibalism could theoretically be permitted under social contract. A lot of bad things have been and are permitted under social contracts.
Yeah, it can be permitted, but it's not natural.
Exactly.
You have to make something to make it permitted, as in like you have to believe, well, we have to eat this because God wants us to eat this. Or we have to eat this person because of this or that. It's not something that's natural. It doesn't happen normally within humans. It does happen occasionally. Like I said, they're outliers. We don't count those because, variety is huge within life. So you're going to have outliers. You're going to have a few different, few people that do different things. But the vast majority doesn't work that way, because if it did, we wouldn't survive. We wouldn't be where we are today if it was completely normal and natural for us to eat each other.
Right. But I think the point is that if some social contracts allow things that are great, that we all can agree that we want, and other social contracts permit things that we think are horrible, like eating other people or slavery or something like this,
Mm-hmm.
then the point remains that whether something is part of a social contract or not, it doesn't make it ethical, right? If some things,
we're not talking about ethics here. Well, this is where the argument started, and this is where I'm saying, right, between Vegan Gains and Brave New World, the problem was they were talking about Brave New World kept bringing up social contract as to why we don't eat each other. Now, what Vegan Gains was doing was bringing animals into it and being like, yeah, well, we have social contract, so why not this and that? Well, the reason why we don't eat each other is because it's not natural for us to do it. That's it. That's the only reason why we don't eat each other and we don't eat other animals and we eat animals, because it's not natural for species to eat their own species. That's not normal. Instinctually, we don't do it. When you do it, you're going against basically your instinct. You're either starving or you're using some sort of god or ritual to like excuse it. You know, it's not a normal thing.
Okay,
and
well,
that's why we don't. That's why we don't eat each other. You can't use. That's why the argumentation doesn't work. Where you're like, well, if you have an animal that's as smart as this human being, then then why don't you eat the human being? Well, because it's not natural for species to eat their own species. It's just normal.
Okay, well, that would be, in my opinion, an appeal to nature. But
sure, but it doesn't make it a fallacy. You have to explain where the fallacy stands. Not every single time an appeal to nature is not always a fallacy. You know what I'm saying? In some instances it works, like this one. That's where I don't understand the appeal, how it's a fallacy in this case. You want to know why we don't eat each other? That's the reason why. I mean, it's natural for us not to.
Okay. So
just like it's natural for us to want to have sex because we want to propagate our species. If we were to eat each other, we're ruining our species. We're killing each other off in large numbers. Our replenishment rates won't match that, you know.
Okay, so we can talk about this in just 1 second. Yeah. But in the Brave New World conversation that Vegan Gains had with him, Brave New World said that eating meat is justified because it's permitted under the social contract. And Vegan Gains was making basically the same point that I'm making, is that something being a part of the social contract doesn't make it ethical, because there are some things that are part of a social contract that are ethical. There are other things that are and have been part of social contracts that aren't ethical. So the fact that something is part of a social contract doesn't tell you whether it's ethical or not.
I understand, but they had two different meanings of social contract. That's the problem.
Okay.
Brave New World doesn't English isn't his first language, and he didn't express that. I talked to him afterwards, and I was like, well, you know, why didn't you say what you meant by social contract? Because obviously Vegan Gains was explaining it, and he meant it as a proposed like rule between people and stuff, and that's not. I don't think that's what he meant. I think that he meant just our natural evolution, right? Evolution-wise, animals don't eat each other, don't eat themselves and stuff like that. Some of them do, but that's
all right.
That's
so
rarity.
If you want to get around the social contract thing by saying it's not natural, that is now you've moved on to an appeal to nature fallacy, or a naturalistic fallacy.
Call it a fallacy if you want, but nature's nature, and you cannot disprove nature. You can't disregard it.
All right. So saying that something is ethical or morally good,
I don't care about the ethicalness. All I care about is why. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about why things are done. And the reason why we don't eat each other is nature, and you can't disregard that. That is truly how it is. We're not wired to eat each other.
Well, I think I would disagree. I was saying there are many pre-state societies in which cannibalism was fully allowed. If it were done,
allowed, but it wasn't a normal, natural thing. It was allowed through reasoning, like to reason away the reasons why they shouldn't do it. Like I said, as in God, ritual, enemies, like, let's kill our tribes and then let's eat them. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like a natural thing, like say how we eat now, right? We eat three times a day, every day. People who are cannibals do not eat humans every day, 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? It's usually a ritualistic thing, or, for a special occasion, sacrifices to gods, Yeah, animals aren't sacrificing to God. They're eating other animals because they will need to eat. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, I mean, cannibalism has been pretty common throughout human history. I would argue that the reason we don't eat people today is not necessarily because it's not natural. It's because we've developed this thing called ethics and moral philosophy, and we've recognized we all want the right to not be killed unnecessarily. Now, if somebody tries to defend something ethically by saying this is okay because it is natural. That, and I understand you're going to say you're not trying to say that.
Yeah, we're not arguing that. So that's why I'm saying
okay.
the argument comes from
but
the.
Can I get you on board with this though? If someone says X is moral because X is natural, would you agree that is an appeal to nature fallacy?
No, you would have to go on a base by base by each, depending on the circumstance of each one. Sometimes nature would not be a fallacy, and sometimes it would. There's some things you just can't disregard as a fallacy. Look, like Devin said in here, it was kind of a joke, but I mean, it makes total sense. Plants grow because of the sun. Why? Because that's how nature works. You're going to call a fallacy on that? Like, that's how nature works.
He's not saying
it's that way.
Yeah, he's describing a biological process. He's not making an argument.
And so am I. And so am I.
No. But listen, he's
describing a biological function, a function of evolution.
But he's not making an argument about why it's moral. I mean, there are.
I'm not making an argument about why it's moral either.
Can I just say there are plenty of things that are ethical that are also natural. Okay, so if, for example, you brought up sex.
Yes, I understand. Right? That's why I say it's basis. It's by the basis. Each thing is different. Some things are natural. Some things aren't.
Right. Okay.
Some things are ethical.
Yes, but they're not ethical because they're natural. So if someone were to say, can I just say, okay, if someone were to claim that sex is morally permissible because it is natural, that actually is an appeal to nature fallacy. They are still right that sex is moral, and they're right that sex is also natural, but they're wrong that it's moral because it's natural.
I still think you're misunderstanding the argument, dude. Like, completely. I'm not arguing for why it's ethical. The argument is from the stance of one person asking another person, why do you eat this and not this? And I'm telling you why we don't eat this one thing. That's where I'm standing. I'm telling you, we don't eat each other because of nature, because we do not want to. That's just basically it. We naturally don't want to. And the ones who do have to make some sort of rationality in their brain to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? That comes from intelligence, not instinct. Instinctually, we don't do it unless we're like starving or we really need to. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think at that point, I would argue that you're giving a descriptive answer to a prescriptive question. So if the vegans say, why is it okay? Why should we just slaughter animals unnecessarily?
That's not what I'm answering, though.
But that's the question that we're asking.
Humans. That's the one.
Yeah, so we're asking, why is it ethical to kill animals unnecessarily and not kill humans unnecessarily?
Because we're in the same species. It's natural. We don't want to do that. I naturally don't want to eat
right there,
people. I mean, I would eat people if I had to, but I'm not against eating flesh, but I'm against eating people. Killing people. So why would I do that?
Can I just point out
for me? Yeah.
I said, why is it okay to kill an animal for food unnecessarily, but not?
That's not what I'm answering, because that wasn't the question.
No, but you just.
The question is, why do we eat animals and not humans? That's the
question. No. Okay, but okay, let me be clear. So the question that I want to ask you, okay, is that why is it okay to kill animals unnecessarily for food, or for any reason at all? Okay, just let me finish the question.
No, I got it.
And why is it not okay to do the same to humans? So I'm asking for
it's a two-tiered question.
Okay. Fair enough. So why is it okay? And then that's what I asked before. And then you said, because it is natural.
Yeah, I guess to the second question, right? Why we don't eat humans? Because it's natural not to.
No, I said, why is it okay? I'm not asking.
Why is it okay?
Why is it ethical?
Not necessarily. I don't necessarily see it as okay or not okay. I don't have any reasons why it would not be okay.
To kill to be clear.
And the sake of it being unnecessary is not fully evaluated by me. Like, I don't see that as being unnecessary, and I still have weigh-ins of evolution and benefits before, I'm not convinced that those things are being scaled properly.
Right. Sorry. Before, when you said I don't see it as okay or not okay, were you talking about killing a human there, or were you talking about killing an animal?
Animals.
Okay.
Outer species, I guess. I mean, I kill flies, I kill roaches all the time. Like, I kill insects all the time.
Okay.
Those are living species, right? I'm sure you do too, right?
I try not to kill bugs as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, I think
and
to
rationalize it, right? You have a justification for doing so.
Well, yeah, I mean, to exist in the world, you're going to have to kill some number of insects. That doesn't mean you. Okay, but that's why I threw in necessary before when I asked the question, right? It is
but I'm not
necessary. It is necessary for your survival to kill some number of insects. Just for you to exist, some insects are going to end up dying. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you should go around killing insects willy-nilly. And it definitely doesn't mean that you should then go kill animals unnecessarily.
But wouldn't you say that's willy-nilly? I'm sure you've killed many bugs that that you could have survived along with. You know what I'm saying? Do you think, are there bugs living with you now? There's millions of bugs you could survive with. You know what I'm saying, out there.
Well, I mean, I don't kill insects unnecessarily.
Do you drive?
No, I don't drive. I take the bus. I take the bus though. I take the metro.
No, that's cool. I agree with that. I don't drive either. But
all right, cool. But I think this conversation is kind of getting away. I'm just getting
to know you.
So okay.
I know where you're coming from. You know, you got to understand the person where they're coming from to understand their points.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
So what if we say?
I lost track of my thought.
What if we say? Yeah, that's cool. Let's move on to something. What if we say reduction? What do you think of that?
Harm reduction? Like you're talking about
harm reduction, or people eating less meat or lowering their meat intake and stuff like that.
Right. So I believe that we should extend animals the right to life. Okay.
But that's not going to happen. You know, that's not going to happen. Like not right away. Isn't it better to like slow it down over time?
Okay. Can I get to that? So I think that we should afford animals the right to life and the right to non-exploitation. And that when we kill them or exploit them unnecessarily, we are violating those fundamental rights. So when you say that, why don't we just sort of reduce the killing of animals or something? It's analogous to saying, why don't we just like reduce the amount of rape? Like
yes, I would love to.
But for a rapist to say, well, I don't want to quit raping completely, but why don't I just reduce the amount I rape?
Yeah, that would be way better for him to do. That would be.
But it's clear that just raping is just fundamentally wrong. It's a
but it's not. But it's not, and it's not to a lot of people. You understand?
But wait, you think that raping someone is not a fundamental rights violation?
No, I'm saying that to a lot of people, it's not. And we're not talking about rape. We're talking about veganism. To a lot of people, killing animals in the equivalent of what you're talking about is not fully seen as a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So for you to convince people of that, that's the part you got to get past. You guys are arguing the wrong parts. Okay. You haven't convinced people that animals deserve rights. You haven't convinced people that they shouldn't eat meat at all. You haven't convinced anyone. You convince very small people here and there, but you're
well. That's true, because I think a lot of people are obtuse and don't.
It's not just that, but you guys are coming in. Humans are humans, man. What is it, like 80% of people out there are fucking retarded. You know what I'm saying? They're not very smart, and you're not going to get at them by coming at them in aggressive ways or trying to debate them, or you know what I'm saying? You guys are coming at this all wrong, and I feel like this is what pisses me off about certain vegans. I feel like, look, you guys have a cause. And you're taking this cause and you're turning it into like a competition kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Who could beat who? Oh, I'm smarter than you. I could debate this person. That's not what you're trying to do. You have a cause. You want to spread this. You guys have to find a better way of doing it. Be more amicable towards people. You know, try to understand why people who eat meat understand why they do. What's their rationality? What's their, you know what I'm saying? And get to know people. You don't just like, you jump into debates and all that does is you guys are creating a division. And it's turning like politics. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the one side like, we're winning, and the other side like, yeah, we won that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work, man. You guys aren't convincing as many people as you could be.
Okay, well, there are a lot of things that I could say there. I mean, would you, first of all, would you count me as one of those vegans?
I don't know. I haven't heard enough of you. I haven't talked to you enough. Like even now, like I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? And you're coming at this like a debate. You're like, oh, let me, you know, you're making these grandiose points, which I understand. I'm not, I don't want to cut you off, but also I want it to go back and forth. So yeah, we can be more conversational about this and just tell each other what's our problems with these things. I understand the vegan side. I've heard plenty of vegans talk. None of it convinces me. You guys just can't convince me. It doesn't work that way for me.
Okay. So instead of talking about sort of the attitude of vegans and what you see as problematic with the attitudes of vegans, why don't we talk about where our differences lie?
Okay, I would think it's about our viewpoint of life, because I don't consider killing animals a horrific thing.
Yeah, I understand that you don't think that. So what I'm trying to get at is why you don't think it's bad.
Because personally, I don't see life as being all that important. It's like you live, you die. That's it. Death isn't a terrible thing. People look at death as a horrible thing. I'm not afraid to die. I don't think it's terrible to die. I don't want to die, but if I did, it's like, all right, well, it's over. You know, I enjoyed myself while I was here. Fuck it. But and I do believe that factory farming is shitty, and like that. Personally, that's why I don't eat a lot of meat. I don't like factory farming. I would like to reduce that, and I like animals to be given at least a better life while they're alive before they die. Yeah?
So how would you feel if somebody said, life isn't all that important, now I'm just going to kill you because I feel like it?
Then I die. I enjoyed my life up until now, but I don't think people should do that, because we're in the same species, and the whole purpose of a species is to propagate its species.
Okay, so
if we kill each other past the point of the replenishment rate, then we're destroying our species when we should be propagating it.
You would not think that's ethical because they're a member of the same species as you are? Okay.
Yeah. You can call that the species fallacy, but it's true. That's the reason. I can't defeat my own reason on that. That's the reason. Okay. I don't feel this within species. I don't think people. The point of a species, I think, is to propagate in advance. And if they're not
great. So I know you guys love the alien analogies. You love those alien hypothetical. So
I hear it a lot.
If an alien race,
yeah, I'm totally cool with that.
I saw a screenshot. Yeah. I saw a screenshot where you said that. I just wanted to.
And the only way I think, as a species, if an aliens invaded us, wanted to eat us, we'd have to accept it. But of course, we're going to try to advance, because that's the point of our species. And if we can reach to their level and fight them back to a standstill, then now we deserve our right not to be eaten.
Okay, but the real question.
And then if we get better than them, we can start eating them.
The real question, though, I think is, sorry, can I call you Elf or Elfie? What do you prefer?
Yeah, Elf's my name. Elf or Elf. Whichever. Don't make a difference.
Okay, cool. So Elf, but I think the real question is, would you think that it's ethical for aliens to come down and slaughter us all?
I cannot say what is the ethical thoughts of another being, or what is ethical for them. An alien race, if there are let's say they're millions of years,
not ethical for them.
I can't say what's ethical for them.
I'm not talking about what they believe is ethical. I'm asking, would you think it's ethical for them to come down and kill all of us?
I would not be so arrogant as to make that assumption. I just couldn't do it. Well, there's no way. I have no idea.
Beliefs about what's ethical.
I would have to be them to say what is ethical to them. I can't say what's ethical.
But it's not what's ethical to them. It's what's ethical to you, though.
Why would it be ethical to me? No, then I think it's ethical for them to do it because I do it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So
ethical.
So I just want you to just think about all of the humans on Earth. Just think about all of the lovely people. Think about all the children, all the happy little innocent children, all the nice people that have never done anything to anyone else, that are completely innocent. Now imagine aliens just killing all of them for no good reason.
Is this an appeal to emotion?
No. I'm just now. Okay, picture that in your mind and ask yourself, is that truly ethical? Because I think you seem like a nice guy. Sorry, I'm about to finish.
I would not like it because that is part of my species, but I cannot say what it would feel like or what the ethicality of it would be to that other alien species. They might know something we don't know. Maybe life is shit, and maybe there is an afterlife they know about, and that shit's awesome, and they're fucking sending us to an awesome afterlife. I don't know what they know. Like, how can I say what's ethical to them?
Okay, but I'm
shit about what they know.
In the hypothetical I gave you is that it was unnecessary slaughter. So you can't be like, oh well, it could be necessary maybe for this other thing.
Are they going to
give us more pleasure, like we'd go into the afterlife? But it would be for them just to slaughter us, kill us unnecessarily, and turn us into hamburgers when they could be vegan, when they could get all their foods from plants. Would you think that's ethical? I'm not talking about would they think it's ethical. Would you believe it's ethical?
I don't believe we're the same. I am not fully convinced that we're not advancing because we're eating meat. I'm not fully convinced that we've stopped advancing from that. as a species. I'm not convinced of that. I have not seen. I've seen studies that make claims and stuff, but I've not seen any solid proof that says that as a species we're not still gaining benefits from eating meat in our advancement.
Okay.
And now, if we could prove that, or if we could flip that, we already have a solution to that. I mean, in vitro meat keeps growing. We're going to have that soon. That's going to be the greatest benefit to vegans, and I think all vegans should be pushing that. I think in vitro meat's going to make a huge difference. But that's a part of it right there. If we can get that from another source, and still be eating meat and getting what we get from meat, but not from animals, that's even better.
Okay.
I think a lot of people will see that as being even better, and that'll switch a lot of people over.
Okay. So to be honest, I didn't quite follow all of that.
Okay.
Sorry, I got a little bit distracted, but
yeah,
I think to be fair, no worries. I think to be fair, we're getting a little off point. I'm totally down to talk to you about in vitro meat and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I really just want to hammer home this point, or
it's not a good point, man. You can't tell me there's no way anybody could tell you what the ethics are behind an alien race that's millions of years ahead of us slaughtering us. I can't tell you that. I could tell you from my perspective, like you're asking, but that's not what the aliens doing. I think in the alien's mind, what he feels he's doing is right. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you that.
Right. Okay, but I don't care about whether it's ethical for the aliens, what they think about ethics. The big point is whether you think it's ethical, because I'm trying to show that you're
is eating human meat and advancing their species.
Or
do they believe?
No. It would just no. And it's completely unnecessary. It's not going to end up in some like greater amount of.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm saying it would have to. It's not proven to me that it's completely necessary. So to the alien, it's not proven that it's completely necessary. And in fact, he still thinks it might be a benefit to him, not just to him personally, to the species.
You think that it might be necessary for you to eat meat?
If not necessary, it might still be advancing us. I don't know. It's not. I know we over.
Well, unless it was advancing us.
Now I mean, like countries in general, especially America, overeat meat. That's a terrible fucking diet, and I think that's doing damage. But I mean, if we could cut down on meat, I think that would be better. I think we're causing damage to the advancements we could be getting from meat from people overeating meat. And I would like to see a huge reduction in that.
All right.
But I mean, that's up to the individual basis, right? Like you'd have to convince the individual.
Okay, let me ask another question. Would you like to be killed unnecessarily?
Would you
like that? Would you like to be killed unnecessarily?
No, but I may be complacent to it.
Okay, but you would prefer not to be killed unnecessarily.
I prefer not to, but you'd probably be complacent to it.
You'd be complacent? You would just allow yourself to be killed?
Aliens came down and no, I wouldn't allow myself to be killed. I'm saying in my own mentality, I would be complacent to it. Like in my mind, I wouldn't lay down and die. But I mean, if I didn't, I know I wouldn't survive. If I went into war, I know I'm not surviving. I'm just
complacent means
just gonna fight till I die. I'll be complacent about it. You know, like I don't like it, I don't dislike it. It's like, oh well, whatever. This is what's happening. I'm gonna have to face what's happening.
But complacency means by definition, I think that you wouldn't fight against it.
But not
saying you're okay. You're saying
my mind wouldn't care. Like
so. Okay, to be clear though,
do what I gotta do.
You would not like to be killed unnecessarily by aliens, and you would not like everybody on the earth to be killed unnecessarily by aliens.
I wouldn't like it
simply because there are different species than the aliens.
I wouldn't like it.
Okay,
so it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of the universe. I mean, it never does.
So wouldn't you say then that it's a little bit hypocritical and sort of a violation of the golden rule to then use that exact same rationale for killing animals when you wouldn't like that to be done to yourself or your loved ones?
Because I'm not them. They're not me. It's a totally different species.
But no, the point of the golden rule is that you would do unto others as you would have others.
I don't live like that. Sorry. I don't live like that.
So you don't believe that we should try to live by the golden rule?
No, not always. I think in some situations it's good. In some situations, fuck that shit.
Okay. I think the golden rule is...
Some people...
So you don't see any kind of contradiction or hypocrisy or violation of the golden rule by saying, I would not like to be killed unnecessarily by aliens simply because I'm a different species than them.
No, I don't
Totally
categorize
fine.
those things.
Okay,
I don't categorize those things the same.
Okay, just
I wouldn't rather be a car, or I'd rather be a space. Like, those are two totally different categories. You can't say which one. You can't lump them all together.
Okay, can I whenever you interrupt me, I often lose my focus here. I'm not trying to hog the mic or anything. But I'm just going to ask the question again, okay? So do you not see any kind of hypocrisy or contradiction between saying I would not like to be killed unnecessarily by aliens because I'm simply a different species, and then saying it's fine to kill other animals because they're not the same species as me?
What I like has no bearing on anything in the universe. You know, would I like to get hit by a car? No, but thought I might get hit by a car. I'm just gonna have to accept that. That's the way things are.
Yeah, well, okay, okay. So the golden rule says you would not like to be hit by a car, so therefore you're going to try to not hit other people with your car.
You can't really live like that, though. I mean, if you live like that,
that's the whole point of the golden rule, man.
Driving like 2 miles an hour, being super cautious and shit. You can't live like with that being your main priority. That's not your main priority when you're driving. Your main priority when driving is to get where you're going. And then you got to watch out as well and be cautious.
Yes.
But you can't drive precautiously. Like, be like, I'm going to drive 2 miles an hour just in case somebody decides to go bolting across the street. Well, even though it's a green light for me, and they just decided to go running fucking at full top speed across the street.
Yes, I know. You take reasonable precautions because
yeah,
exactly. Okay, but I still am just kind of confused on this one point. It's like, if I don't want to be killed unnecessarily simply because I'm not the member of the same species as some other life form, then I think it's logical and in accordance with the golden rule to say, well, I'm not going to do the same thing to other animals. I'm not going to kill animals simply because they're not of the same species as me.
Yeah, but see, that's the difference. Because if an animal did, let's say, bonobos got fucking super advanced somehow and they started surpassing us, and we get a Planet of the Apes type scenario, I'm not against them doing that. You know what I'm saying? I won't like it, but I'm not against them doing that. I think that's totally their right to do that.
So you're okay with them just committing a mass holocaust?
I'd fight against them because I'm trying to protect my species, but in the end, they have the total right to do that. They've surpassed us and advanced us. Guess what? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They get to choose what's going on.
So, okay, I just want to ask.
We can fight back and win, then we've become their equals. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it ends in a stalemate and we become equals and we don't need each other. You know?
So, but are you really comfortable with having a system of ethics that makes it permissible to commit a holocaust against all human beings? Because you seem like a nice guy. You don't seem like a psychopath at all, man. And so
but I live in reality, and this is the reality of life. That's the way things are. Have you not looked at it? I mean, that's the way things are. And if you want to change that, you're going to have to change human instinct, human beings. There's no way that's going to happen. You guys are looking for something that's not going to happen within this fucking evolution. Like, things have to advance more. Okay, well,
that's a bit of a red herring, saying like, oh, this would never happen. So therefore,
no, I'm not saying never happen. So it's not going to happen. Look, it's not going to happen from today to next week. It's not going to happen from today to a couple of years from now. You have to take, you know, it's just something that's going to take centuries for people to stop eating.
Well, exactly, and we have to change people's mind one by one. So right now, I'm
one by one, to be honest with you.
Right now, I'm trying to convince you. I mean, at one point in time, you could have said, well, slavery just exists. Slavery is always just going to exist. Yeah. And so that wouldn't be a valid argument.
No, but it took time. I didn't say it was an argument in favor of eating animals either. I'm just saying that's the reality of things. If you want something to happen, you have to build a strategy on the reality. You're not going to changing people one by one isn't going to help either. You have to change a few at a time. There's way better things you could be doing.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with that. Okay, I just read a comment by Amy K here. Yeah. She says an appeal to nature isn't a fallacy. I'm not sure if that is a serious comment or if it's just a troll, but saying that something is good because it is natural is an appeal to nature fallacy 100% of the time. That is just an established thing within logic.
So breathing, you can't appeal to nature in breathing. Breathing is a bad thing. Like,
no, yes. If you say
breathing, listen, it's natural, it's a fallacy.
Yes, breathing is morally justified for other reasons.
Morally justified breathing.
Well, yeah, because in this example, you're.
Sorry.
It's okay. I agree. It's pretty absurd to think of trying to ethically justify breathing. But if somebody did want to ethically justify breathing, they could say, well, I'm just breathing. The act of breathing, it doesn't cause suffering to other people. Sorry, so there are lots of ways you could ethically justify breathing. But if you try to justify it by saying breathing is natural, that is an appeal to nature fallacy. Some things can be ethically justified and natural, like
exactly.
breathing.
So it's not.
Yeah, no. But it's not. It's no. It's not ethical. It's not ethical because it is natural. That's the entire point. It's ethical for other reasons.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Be ethical. It makes sense. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, of course it can be. Yeah. Well, the entire point of an appeal to nature fallacy is that some things that are natural are great. Other things that are natural are not so great, like rape and whatever else, like bigger animals ripping smaller animals to pieces and blah, 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 blah. So saying that something is good because it is natural is a fallacy.
I think
something being natural doesn't tell you what...
Amy's answer, I think, is the clear fundamental difference that our mentalities have here is nature doesn't fucking care about ethics. And I agree with that. The grand scheme of things don't give a fuck about our morality or our ethics. Now, it doesn't mean that we live like fucking animals or maniacs, but fucking we live within what we think is best for us.
Yeah, I mean, we live outside of nature. I mean, I think that's actually a point in my favor. It's like nature doesn't care about what's ethical. So if we're trying to determine what is ethical, we shouldn't appeal to nature.
I don't think we're always trying to do that. I think if you do that too much.
Oh, yeah, I know you're not always trying to do that, but I just want that to be like fully understood that saying something is ethical because it is natural, that is an appeal to nature fallacy 100% of the time. And this, sorry, I don't want to be a dick here. I'll shut up. I'll shut up after this. But this is why I think, this is one of the reasons why I think there has been a lot of vitriol going both ways, but especially coming from us, because you guys try to make like the dumbest fucking arguments, like saying that appealing to nature isn't always an appeal to nature and stuff like this. And it's
appeal to nature isn't always a fallacy. That's the point. It is a fallacy.
It is, man.
It's not always a fallacy. No, it's not.
Yes.
I don't agree.
Well, I mean, can you find me a logician or a philosopher?
I don't give a shit about logicians or philosophers. I give a shit about how I view life.
I mean, this is
like, how would I give a shit about?
I mean, this is like an established thing within the field of logic. So do you want to be in a position where you're just like making fun of logic?
I'm in a position where I'm making the logic, where that's what's logical to me, right? Why would I care about what's logical to other people? What if they're wrong and I'm right?
Okay, but like, so within philosophy, there is this thing called logic. It's a domain of philosophy. And for like hundreds, maybe thousands of years, there have been all these philosophers and logicians who have gotten together over the time and decided for various reasons that certain arguments are fallacious.
And they've never been wrong about anything, about the stuff they've been.
Oh, of course, they can be wrong. But this is just like a well-established truth within, or a well.
And like 99% of the times that's true, but there are times when it's not. And there are times where things that are natural don't. There's the problem is you guys are going by ethics, right? But sometimes things that are natural that are ethically wrong need to be done. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes,
can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
Sometimes things that are natural
Yes.
It may not be ethical, need to be done. And sometimes it is ethical to do the unethical.
I would disagree with that.
That's how I view shit. I think sometimes it is ethical to do the unethical. I think sometimes you have to balance things out, and sometimes it's just a bit more ethical to do something than the inethical, because nothing comes in just a simple package of black and white. You know what I'm saying? There's tons of nuances and gray areas between things, and sometimes the pros outscale the cons.
Yes, but then by definition, whatever horrible thing you have to do becomes ethical. Like, you know, you could generalize and say, you know, killing people unnecessarily is wrong. Or sorry, forget that. You could say, as a general rule, killing people is wrong. Okay, but then what if you're in a situation where, you know, like a school shooter goes into a school and begins killing kids? The only way to stop him is to shoot him and kill him. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't really like to have to be the one to like kill that school shooter. I'm not very comfortable with killing people, but it would be the ethical thing to do. So what was your original point, though? You're saying some things that are not ethical, but which are natural, are necessary to do?
Yeah, some things are natural. I don't have a perfect example, but let's say something died from us breathing, right? We have to breathe. So it's unethical because every time we breathe, we're killing something, but we got to do it, right? So then there's different scales of that. Obviously, there's some things that are just not as beneficial, and we could say forget it. But this is the point where I say I'm not convinced we've stopped advancing from eating meat. I'm not convinced of that. I've looked at tons of research. I've looked at things, how, you know, like I know mass amounts of meat is going to hurt you. Not even mass, like a good amount of meat does damage to you. But in small amounts, I don't think it's bad. I think it's actually advantageous to it, and that we're still using it to evolve.
Okay, well, the consensus, the large consensus, not in a perfect consensus, but the large consensus of people with PhDs in the relevant field would disagree with you. I mean, you have the World Health Organization, you have the American Dietetics Association.
Has stopped
they all say that it's possible to be perfectly happy and healthy on a vegan diet.
But that's individually and not thinking of our species.
They're talking about our species with that statement.
Okay, individuals.
They're not talking about
future, not like us, like 1,000 years from now. Or
but no, you're saying that eating meat is like necessary for our advancement as a species. I mean,
it could be. I don't know that, and it's always has been. I'm not convinced it stopped being advantageous to our species. That's where I'm not convinced.
But can you give evidence in favor of it?
There's lots of evidence in favor of it. We've advanced tremendously since we started eating meat.
I think that is actually a contentious issue. I could probably make arguments against it, but for the sake of argument, let's say that is true. That doesn't mean we need to eat it today to advance. And if you want to say that we do, then you would have to provide evidence for it.
Well, I don't have to provide shit. Well, I'm not the one trying to convince you. You're trying to convince me. I don't have to. But
you made the claim that
so
we need meat in order to advance as a species, and I'm just saying, what's your evidence for that?
I don't need evidence for that. You're the one.
Of course you do.
No, I don't. I don't need evidence for shit. Who said I needed evidence?
If you make a claim, then the burden of proof is on you.
In what? I make a claim in what?
You made a claim, well, for basically any claim, but the specific claim you made. why is that funny to you?
All right. So I went to the bar yesterday, right?
Okay.
Do you believe that? Do I need to provide you evidence for that?
I mean, I would be inclined to believe you because there wouldn't be any reason for me to.
Well, it's a conversation.
But that's not okay. But that's not like
I'm not trying to convince you, so I don't give a shit to you.
That's not a scientific claim. Okay. Well, the evidence I would provide to the contrary to what you had said originally, that we need meat to advance as a species, is that most of the people with PhDs in the relevant field disagree with you. The World Health Organization says we can be fine, and they're talking about our species, not just individuals, that we can be perfectly happy and healthy from the womb until death on a vegan diet.
Yeah,
and the American Dietetics Association agrees.
That's not enough for me. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah, what I would need.
But then you can't.
I would need it to show us for future generations if meat is still advancing us and causing more of a benefit than it would if we stopped in our evolution.
The people
it would have to be thousands of years from now. Like we would have to know where that goes evolutionarily.
The people with PhDs all lining up, or almost all lining up on one side of an issue, isn't enough to convince you out of your position that you can't provide evidence for?
I think you're either you're being dense or you're not understanding what I'm saying. You're telling me they're saying this. I'm telling you, well, yeah, but they're not saying this. And you're saying, oh, you don't believe this? What? Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm telling you something else than what you told me they said. And you're saying that, what? That's not, but it's not that, you know, like you're not adding it up. They're not saying what I would want them to say for me to understand that we're not advancing evolutionarily through generations while eating meat, as we have been in the past. When did that stop? Can we see when that stopped? Completely?
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Is it going wrong because we're overeating meat? Is that just the reason why? We don't know. I haven't seen any research on that. I've seen some speculation. I've seen scientists speculate that we might not be evolving anymore, that we've eliminated our pressures. But I've also seen others who say that we've added new pressures onto themselves and that's going to change. So we don't know which way it's going. I'd have to know these things.
Right, but there's no.
I'm a 100% proponent for evolution. I would like our species to advance as quick as possible, as far as possible, and do whatever advances our species at the most. So if eating meat is still advancing our species, and in the long run would slow us down if we stop doing it, then I don't want to do that. Then I want to continue eating meat. You understand? Does that make sense?
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so evolution works by these selection pressures. So the only way you could say that we need meat to advance as a species to continue our evolution on an upward trajectory is to say that eating meat gives us some kind of reproductive advantage. Like eating meat in today's context somehow it somehow enables us to reproduce more. But there's no, and survive better. Okay,
it's not just surviving; it's the things you pass.
Survival and reproduction. That's what.
Yeah, but you're passing those things. So if you stop,
exactly. So you'd have to
pass.
You'd have to prove that somehow eating meat helps us in today's context. Helps us.
No, you'd have to prove that it stopped. You'd have to prove that it stopped. The proof has already been there in the past.
No, the proof is that all of the World Health Organization say that it's perfectly possible to be happy and healthy.
To be happy and healthy until when you're born, till when you die. We're not talking about that section.
Yes, and vegans have a longer life expectancy.
Okay, that's perfect.
We have less diseases. I think we have lower rates of erectile dysfunction, which could help us reproduce more.
Okay, but what about the future? What about the future generations? Will they have that too?
Possibly, but I mean,
possibly. I'm not saying it's not, but we don't know that.
I mean, there's no reason to believe it wouldn't continue with that trend. I mean, if you want to say that eating meat is necessary to advance our trajectory and evolution, then you'd have
that's been proven.
I'm not so sure about that, but for the sake of argument,
at the moment it is, and if it can be defeated, then it'll be defeated, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
but at the moment,
I don't. Yes, I don't see this going farther on this specific sort of line of questioning. I'm not saying we have to end the conversation, but
I mean, where do you go from there? I mean, I've already told you lots of reasons, and we just see things differently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure where to go from here.
I'm a weird dude, man. I totally eat human meat.
Well, you already did say that it would be ethical for aliens to just slaughter.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it would be ethical. I'm saying I don't know if it would be ethical or not. I'm in the middle on that.
You don't know if you think it would be ethical
for an alien species to do that? No, I don't know. I would have to know why they're doing it. I would have to know who they are.
Okay, but to kill us unnecessarily. So I'm giving you the hypothetical.
But this is where the problem always lies. You're saying unnecessarily, and I'm not convinced of that. That's what I said from the beginning. I'm not convinced that it's unnecessary. I've known vegans since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like all my life, I've heard all these arguments. I've heard everything you said to me. I've heard 6-7 times, like in the last, like since I started this whole beef that started with Ask Yourself when he was being a douchebag. Since then, I've heard this argument a million times. Some of them I've heard since the 90s. I'm not convinced. Those arguments aren't working. They don't convince me.
Okay.
It doesn't see it. I still not convinced it's unnecessary. How can you convince me of that when you can't tell me what's going to happen down the lineage and multiple generations later?
So you're afraid that going vegan would fuck up?
I'm not afraid. Species? I just think that the goal of humanity should be to advance its species all the time, as much as it can.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm not so sure we should try to like evolve, because that would be
from what we know, meat helped us evolve to where we are now, and I'm not convinced that stopped.
Which does not make it necessary or ethical or good today.
Right.
And there's no reason to believe that it would, and a lot of reasons to believe that we don't need it anymore.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't see any reason.
I mean,
why
vegans survive better. We survive better.
Surviving is not the question of what happens. You can survive longer.
That's how evolution works, though.
Yeah,
the people who survive better.
Yes, but it's also the passing and mutations of certain genes. Sometimes a certain thing needs to keep happening for that gene to be activated. If you don't do those things, they don't get activated.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from here. Why don't we didn't spend that much time talking about name the trait. Would you like to get into that? Because I think I think
that's basically just leads right back to species, where we were talking about how I wouldn't do it to my own species simply because it is my own species.
Right. And then I gave you the alien
again, and then it goes into, that's why we started with social contract. That's name the trait is basically how we got to social contract. Like we skipped the entire name the trait debate just to get to that point, because that's basically where it's going to end up.
Okay. Okay, but just to be clear though, when I gave you the hypothetical about the pardon me, about the aliens, in my hypothetical, it would be completely unnecessary for them. And I know that you're going to try to say, well, it's a false analogy because it could be necessary in our situation with eating meat, right? But just in the hypothetical that I'm giving you, would it be ethical?
It's unnecessary.
If it's 100% unnecessary for them, and I know you think you're not convinced that it's unnecessary for us.
Yeah, right.
But in the hypothetical, I gave you
unnecessary. I guess I can agree with that.
Wait, sorry. So
I've already told you that I'm not convinced that it's necessary. So the point is, you would have to convince me of that. So if it's unnecessary, then yeah, of course.
Okay, so why don't we plant a flag right there? All right. But in the hypothetical I'm posing to you, if we knew 100% that it is unnecessary for these aliens to kill us, but they want to kill us simply because we're a different species than them, would you think that's ethical?
Is that simply because of that, or is it not? See that? I mean, I
think, man, you don't want to give a straightforward answer.
Wait. It is unethical. I agree with you there.
It would be unethical.
Yeah. It would be, of course. But there's many caveats in that you're adding in that separate it from getting anywhere near where we're at.
Okay, so just to be clear, you do think that it would be unethical for the aliens to
do nothing but kill us just because for the reason of just being a different species? Yes.
Well, let's say it's for the reason that they want to.
Now we're changing it.
No, we're not changing it. Not significantly, at least. So they want to kill us and turn us into hamburgers. However, that is unnecessary in this hypothetical. That is unnecessary because they can be totally happy and healthy through other means that don't involve the mass slaughter of sentient beings. Like, for example, let's say hypothetically, they could just eat plants and be totally happy and healthy.
Yeah, I guess so. But
so that would be unethical.
But is that counting their advancement as a species, including evolution?
Yes, it wouldn't help them advance as a species.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're okay, that's cool. I'm glad that we could get to this point.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly where it's going to lead to. It's
okay,
just,
so
like you have to convince me of this certain thing, and that's basically it. Which is the point. You guys are trying to convince the meat eaters. That's kind of the point. I don't even eat a lot of meat, but I think it would be more important to have people on your side that are like me and shit. They're looking to reduce people eating meat and try to push in vitro meat as well.
Okay, so now we're at a point where you're saying that you're not sure if it's unnecessary for us to eat meat and other animal products because it has helped us in our evolutionary history in the past and could continue to help us in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. If killing and eating other humans could possibly help us advance in our evolutionary history as a species, do you think that would be ethical?
That I actually think we should eat people. I think when people die, we should eat them. I think we're wasting bodies and food. There's people starving. I think we should eat people in order to have food.
Okay, actually, I have a very good hypothetical for this. Okay, so, and I know you love the hypotheticals. Okay,
yeah,
so
it makes me think of the sci-fi books I read when I was a kid.
That's great. Okay, so imagine that we wanted to do this sort of eugenics program where we said, all right, you know what? We're just going to go out and kill and consume all of the people with an IQ that is below a certain threshold. Let's say the threshold is like 90 or something. And in that way, we can ensure that they will not be able to survive and pass on their genes. So in this scenario, it would be helping. It would definitely help. I mean, we would become smarter as a species.
That's debatable. That's debatable.
That's how eugenics work. I mean,
but how about a lot of those people get so depressed they decide not to breed anymore, and now we're not passing those genes.
Okay, but if I give you a hypothetical, you can't just be like, well, what if the hypothetical wasn't true?
Yes, I can. There's ways where it can work, and there's ways where it can't work. And we're not necessarily, since it's a hypothetical, it really has no details. It's like it's hard to figure out where we're going with this.
Yeah,
but like I said, there's certain situations where it might not work that way. You know what I'm saying? We have to look at the situation from all points and see, are we sure that it's not helping us advance anymore? Are we sure that our advancement doesn't outweigh the opposite of that? I'm not doing that. Or hey, maybe you can find something and convince me that veganism actually is advancing our species through evolution better, more than meat would if we continue eating it. You know what I'm saying? And then there'd be, oh shit, this is better than this. Then maybe it is better off to do that in the long run and through generations.
Okay, so
but I don't see that. I don't see the research for that.
Okay, so let's say if we decided to go out and kill all the people with an IQ that was 90 or below 90, and it wouldn't lead to people getting depressed. It wouldn't have all these negative consequences, yada, yada, yada. It would help our species. It would help our species advance evolutionarily in terms of becoming more intelligent. But would you be in favor of that? Do you think that would be ethical?
I think I'd have to think about that one. I'd have to be on the middle in that one and think about it.
Really?
Because it does advance our species. I mean, it depends on how you scale it. Because there's some ways that's like, yeah, this could be detrimental. Like, does the short run outweigh the long run? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it better to do this for a short period and that'll be better in the long run, or do we do this over a long period and give people like time to like process it? That might be better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of gets into this question of like,
then you have to work a
rights.
This is where it goes back to, now we want to get into meat again. This goes back to the point of, if we did it in a lower capacity, in a softer capacity, then it might be better if we did it. Now we can go into, should we just fucking kill these things in the most painful way, pack them together, pack all these fucking low IQ people together, and treat them like shit and murder them in large numbers right away. Like, should we do that, or should we lower it and maybe do them little by little, kill them over time, make it slow, make people be able to adjust for it, reduce it over time? Then maybe that would be better instead of taking it at once.
Cool. Elf, would you mind if I went and rocked a quick piss? Well, you just
yeah, go for it, dude.
Or something? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Ben. I'll be back in a sec.
I'll face to get woke on human dignity. I will eat people. Give me people. Well, in Peru, we eat guinea pigs. That shit's delicious. Yeah, IQ isn't the only metric in which our species could advance. We can advance muscularly or vascularly and all types of different physical ways. But also it's not even IQ either. It's supposed to help us grow our brains and make it more compact and complex. I mean, how do we know it's still not doing that? That's just where I'm not sold on that. I'm not sold that meat just stopped affecting our brain evolutionarily, or even other parts of our body. Like, I'm not convinced of that. I mean, there are differences in races already, and a lot of those differences come from the amounts of meats we've had in our diets and amounts of different things we've had in our diets. Certain fucking vegetables, certain meats, certain different types of animals. I mean, look at Japanese people. Mostly eat fish. A lot of Asians mostly eat fish, and they have a different structure from other races, different mind. It's in context. It's an inconsistent reasoning. No, I think that's inconsistent to not say that.
Hey, I'm back.
Yep. What's up, man?
Hey, not too much. So I just want to kind of summarize where we just got to, because I asked you. Mm-hmm. If you think that it would be ethical for us to go out and just kill everybody with an IQ below 90, if it would kill and eat them, if it would somehow advance our species, providing that we can remove the other variables you care about, like, if the people who are killing would get depressed and stuff like this.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, but that is, can I just say, well, first of all, that's like kind of a Hitlerian idea, but also if you were to take the position that it is ethical to do that, and I understand that you haven't quite said that yet.
That's right. I said sometimes it's ethical to do the unethical, and sometimes it's unethical to not, to do the ethical. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you don't want to do what's ethical.
But if someone were to say that we're ethical, then that would fundamentally just cut against the notion of human rights. All right. And so if you're going to say that it wouldn't be ethical to do that in the human context.
Well, then that goes by majority, right?
Majority? What do you mean?
We're talking about human rights, what we enact as rights for humans. That would have to go by majority or something, right?
I don't understand.
Like, say it's against, say it's, are you talking about like as it's understood within people? Like within our laws or what we've agreed with each other?
Sorry, I don't even know what you're referring to. Sorry.
Human rights. You brought up human rights. You said human rights.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So what I was saying is that if someone were to say it would be ethical to go kill and eat everybody with an IQ below a certain threshold so that we could advance as a species, all right, that belief that it's ethical to do that would cut against human rights, because we've all come together and decided that we're going to give other human beings fundamental rights, like the right to life.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's
so believing that it's fine to just go out and kill humans unnecessarily, then
a lot of people think that's fine. They don't do it because it's decided by people not to, but a lot of people, there's situations where I think it's fine to kill somebody that the general population wouldn't.
Right, but my point is that if somebody
that happens all the time.
Somebody who were to take the affirmative that it is ethical to go out and kill those people, that if they were to say it is ethical, then that's like an absurd kind of position to take.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's absurd to have a moral system which justifies the killing of everybody with an IQ below a certain threshold? Because I would say, like, right away, that's fucked up.
Then we'd have to discuss where the threshold's at. What if it advances us by like super fast, way more, and we'd have to wait billions of years to advance that much within that time? You know what I'm saying? In the time that we're doing it in like a couple generations.
So it could be okay to kill those people if their IQ was low enough?
If it advances in a few generations, hell yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's way better.
Advances our species?
Yeah.
Damn.
You don't think so?
I would definitely say that is not ethical. That's like straight up fucking like Nazi ideology. And I know I'm not trying to do the thing where everybody compares everybody else to Hitler, but that is literally a fucking like Hitlerian Nazi idea, like eugenics and shit.
Yeah, but
just kill people
at a very different scale. He didn't think it was going to happen in a few generations.
Right, but I mean, he still thought it was ethical to cull certain segments of the population so that they could evolve.
So you're just thinking the bad thing he's doing and then changing the other thing. Like, there are situations where things like that could be right. That
it could be right to
do that.
To kill all. I mean, I wouldn't say so. I don't think it's right to just I
think lack imagination then, or lack of hindsight in human history.
Right. Well, I guess this kind of comes down to name the trait, right? Because if you're to say that it is ethical to do that with humans and with animals, even though you can't really establish it's true with animals, but if you were to say that it is ethical to do that with humans, then that is, in my view, an absurd position, and in the views of probably like most human beings on this earth, it's an absurd position to say that it's ethical to go kill everyone up. But if you're to say that it's not ethical to do that, then you get into name the trait. You have to name the difference between the animal and the human, which justifies the difference of treatment. And to make sure you're logically consistent.
We're completely different things. Like, we're not the same thing.
Of course, that's the entire point.
So
right?
why would we even compare ourselves? Why do that?
Because, okay, so with name the trait, you're saying, here is this animal, and here is this human. Okay, there are two different things. There are a whole bunch of differences between those two different things, right? Okay.
Yeah, tons.
Okay, and so you're making one claim for one object A, the animal. You're saying it's okay to kill this animal unnecessarily, and you're making the opposite claim for object B, the human, and you're saying that it isn't ethical to kill this unnecessarily. So implicit in those two opposite claims for each object, implicit in that is that there's one of these differences between the animal and the human justifies that difference in treatment.
It all leads to the same thing. And we're just going to start where we started this stream.
Sorry.
Circles. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just going to keep going in circles. That's what I'm saying. We started the stream with where name the trait would lead to. We already know where it stalemates and where we get stuck. And this is it. It goes right back to species. I don't see us as being the same thing. I see species above all else.
Okay.
That's why I agree when aliens come and eat us, they can do that because it's their species above us.
But I thought before you're saying it wouldn't be ethical, that you wouldn't like it
if they did it completely unnecessary for absolutely no reason. I guess not. But I mean,
no. They did it. They did it because they wanted to eat us, but eating us was unnecessary. That was the hypothetical.
I don't go by what's unnecessary. I go by what's beneficial. Is it beneficial for them, but unnecessary? I don't know. It depends on your level of unnecessary. I think if it
could be beneficial for me to like go out and steal a bunch of stuff from someone or like rape someone if it gives me pleasure. If I'm some kind of psychopath, but that doesn't mean it makes it ethical. I mean, I just want to get back to name the trait for a quick sec because we kind of got off topic. Are you okay with that? Are you looking to end
I just hate name the trait. I just think it's a terrible argument. I think
I would
have way better arguments for this.
I would posit that that's maybe because you don't fully understand it. No,
I
offense.
totally understand it, but
I know you think
it's retarded. I think it's
I know.
It doesn't work. And I know other vegans who agree with that. Many.
Really?
Yeah, Tristan for one. Now you probably know him.
I don't think I know Tristan.
No, you don't? Oh, he completely doesn't like that one.
Okay.
I can see if he's around if you want to talk to him. He was big in the Ask Yourself community, but then he got kicked out of it, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if he's around though, but I'll hit him up. Let's see. I should just send him the link.
Sure.
Vegan academics respond. Grab a link. Yeah, he might not be around.
All right. No problem.
Yeah, we can continue that. I already sent the link.
Okay. So I want to use name the trait in a different context. Okay. So this actually comes from your favorite YouTube channel, Ask Yourself. Okay. And he uses this analogy with cubes. Okay. So, or boxes.
Oh yeah, I saw that video.
Oh, you saw that one. Okay, cool. Nice. I think it's called retard level name the trait explanation or something like that. Okay, so for anybody who hasn't seen it, it goes like this. So you have two boxes, okay? And you're making two different claims about these two different boxes, and these claims are the opposite of one another, okay? So for the first box, you're saying, I can lift this box up. And the second box, you're saying, I cannot lift this box. Okay, so let's say, so those, just to be clear, those two claims are the opposite of one another. Do you agree?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I thought you were explaining it to the audience.
Oh, so you weren't really listening?
No, sorry. I was actually.
I want to say it to you and the audience because I'm trying to get you on board with this. All right, so should I start again? Okay.
Go for it.
So there are two different boxes. Box one, you're saying, I can lift this box up. Box two, you're saying, I cannot lift this box up. Those two claims are the opposite of one another, right? I can lift it up. I can't lift it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are opposites. Okay. So let's say there are a number of differences between the two boxes. The boxes are different colors. They were made in different places, and they have different weights. Okay. So if you were to say, well, if the second box were the same color as the first box, could I now lift that box up?
No.
No. Okay. If the second box were made in the same place as the first box, could I now lift that second box up? I know this seems a bit ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous, and I get the concept. But...
Okay, no. Just let me continue, and I'll shut up for a long time. Okay. So you wouldn't obviously you wouldn't be able to lift that box up. Okay. Now, what if the second box were the same weight as the first box? Now, could you lift it up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now you've found a logically consistent basis for justifying those two different claims based on a trait that is true of the second box, right? So we can use this exact same reasoning when it comes to humans and animals and the claims it is okay to kill this animal and the claim it is not okay to kill this human.
Except for its complexity. And now you'd have to add all
it doesn't matter how many traits.
Because now you'd have to add all that extra complexity to the boxes. Is the box bolted to the ground, even though it weighs less than the other one? You know? Is there something inside the box that makes it heavier that we didn't know about?
Okay, but now you're just adding randomly more traits to it, and it's like
that's
we've
determined we have levels of complexity to break it down. You can't just make a simple thing and then make a decision on a complex thing using a simple metric. It doesn't work that way. There are tons of nuances and things in between and radiants that tip the scales, and you'd have to measure those out and see which ones are more beneficial and which ones aren't. You got to weigh the pros and cons. Yeah, the shape of the box set matters too. What if it's a shape we can't pick up? It just slides off our hands. You know what I'm saying? You're adding, we have to equal the complexity. You can't make a decision like that. That doesn't work.
But in the example I gave you, everything was the same except 3 things. They were different colors. They weighed.
So you're saying the difference between humans and animals are 3 things?
No, obviously there are much more than 3 things, but it doesn't matter the amount of traits. It doesn't matter how many. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it totally does. It totally does. And maybe the combination of traits might make it a thing that you want. You know what I'm saying? Like the combination of 2 different traits might be something that makes it more beneficial because those 2 work together. You can't just go by one. There's the thing I hate about name the trait. You go one by one through traits. Like it doesn't work that way, man. Things don't work that way.
Well,
things
you can
more complex than that.
No. You can do more than one trait at the same time. Like, for example, if the thing that made it impossible to lift the second box was that it weighed too much and it was also a different shape than the first box that made it hard to grasp, then you would ask, well, if it were the same shape as box 1 and it weighed the same as box 1, could you now lift it up? And now it still works.
No,
so you still have found a logically consistent
you're adding equal complexity to both things where both things aren't equally complex as well.
Are you talking about
like you can't say lion is a human, you know what I'm saying, and you can't make them equally complex. A lion is a different structure from a human. It's way less complex. The ideas or maybe even the ethicality of killing that animal and eating it is different than from another species or from yourself or from, you know what I'm saying? What's more ethical, eating roaches or eating a baby? You know what I'm saying?
Eating roaches, obviously.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, and that's where we have to find the scale and weigh them out and see which ones are more beneficial or not. I'm not convinced certain animals aren't beneficial for us to eat. Okay. It might even be that we're eating the wrong animals, and maybe it'd be more beneficial for us to eat a certain set of other animals. Maybe lizard is the way to go. You know what I'm saying? And we never figured that out. Maybe we should look at that.
Okay. So before we started talking, you said that you wanted to end this around 6 o'clock. Do you?
I can go for another maybe 20 minutes or so. 20 minutes. I'll give it another.
Okay.
We have.
All right. So, okay, let's say that we have a cow and a human. Okay. And we started giving the human we started giving the human trait by trait all the traits of a cow. So we started giving.
Why would we do that? That's the point. That's the point. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Why?
Well,
why would we do that?
That's like
all right. So if we have the science
scenario
to turn a cow into a human being, so people stop eating cows, and we have the genetic experience to manipulate the genetics within all cows to turn them into humans.
We're not.
Why are we going to do that? You know what I'm saying?
I do understand. I think that you're just really terribly mistaken here, because I'm not talking about literally turning.
I know we're not talking about literally, but I'm saying I'm bringing it to a literal level to show you that even hypothetically or in a metaphor is retarded. It makes no sense. Why would you do that? That's the point. Why?
Well, the point
why are you comparing them that way? It doesn't even make sense. For what?
We're saying that these are 2 different objects and there are many differences between them. So what is the differences that justify those 2 different claims?
There's tons of differences.
Okay, and if
pretty much all of their differences.
And if any of those differences were true of the human, would it then be okay to kill the human?
only because of social contract. That's not why. We don't tend to do
now
it.
We're back in social contract.
Yeah, exactly. This is where I tell you it always,
which is an appeal to social contract and an appeal to nature.
To social contract.
It is. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's an appeal to nature, and it doesn't make it unethical for it to be there. I think you're coming at it, well, that doesn't make it ethical. We're coming from it doesn't make it unethical.
Sorry, say that one more time.
You're coming at it from that doesn't make it ethical. We're coming from it doesn't make it unethical.
No, but the claim you're making is that it's ethically justified because it's natural or because it's a social.
I'm just saying it's natural. It doesn't happen because of nature, and there's no reason to fight that. So just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't happen naturally, right? We're not doing it now.
Right. Okay.
So it doesn't happen. So why even fight it? Like, it's not unethical. Just do it. Just leave things how they are. If they started to happen and we see it's not, it's causing a detriment to humanity. I mean, we've all, like, as a species, we've come to an agreement. Law-wise, you know, like socially, openly, that we discuss with each other. And we just have natural agreements that are part of our instinct. Some of us don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? It's just subconscious. Some people have mental deficiencies. Some people are born different, and there's enormous variety in genetics. So you're gonna get those people who are the outliers who break that stuff. But like I said, those are the outliers. That's always happens. Yeah. So in general ideas, people just don't do those things to each other unless it's for something, for a reason.
That's a red herring. What humans?
It's not a red herring. It's fact. It's truth. That's human nature.
I mean, like this. Just if you just describe the way humans act in response to a prescriptive question about the way we should,
the way it is,
according to moral principles.
I don't even need to think about it. It's just the way it is. Why should I even care and think about if it's right or not when it's already happening the way it is, and it's fine the way it is.
All right.
Us not killing each other is working out great for us. You know what I'm saying? The ones who do it, obviously are doing it.
But it would be okay to kill other humans if they had an IQ threshold below a certain amount, and we were sure that we could then advance us in later
ways
on
that outweighed the horrors of doing it to them. Then yeah, why not?
Okay. All right.
I would volunteer for that. I would volunteer to be killed for that. Like I don't see
really.
Why. Yeah.
Well, I think
the species. Yeah. I would die for the advancement of the species. Wouldn't you? Like, say you're going at war for something to, like someone's attacking us, you go to war, you would die for that, right? There's certain things you would die for and volunteer to die for, and put your life at risk for.
Well, I think if we did decide just to kill all humans below a certain IQ threshold, you probably would be one of the ones. No, I'm just kidding.
That was a good one. I like it.
Yeah. No, I wanted to keep this conversation pretty civil.
Yeah, it's chill. It's cool.
Okay, cool. Okay. But yeah, I think we've kind of reached like an impasse here that we're not going to get around for the time being. So maybe we should have another conversation another time.
Devin said after employing the sociopath defense.
Well, Devin said that?
Yeah.
If that's actually true. I mean, that is kind of.
I don't think it's sociopathic. I think it's just it's just the big picture, weighing out the big picture and seeing which things are more. Now, if you want to bring emotions into it, we could do that, and then we'll be discussing something else.
Right. Okay. Well. Anyways, I think I'm gonna head off the stream.
All right,
it was a good. Yeah, man. Good conversation. Maybe we can talk again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm down for that.
All right, cool, man. Well, have a good one.
All right, man. You too.
Peace.
I'll stay on for a few more minutes. And if anybody wants to come in and talk with me, let me know. I think it just always ends where it ends, and just always reach the same conclusion. I think it's a difference of viewpoint of life. I don't view life like that. It's a totally different viewpoint. Vegans utterly destroyed. No, I'm not anti-vegan. I'm not trying to destroy vegans. The whole point is vegans are supposed to try to convince me. I'm not convinced that oh yeah, you know where the link is at. Is it still in there yet? I'm not totally convinced that meat has stopped benefiting us as it has in the past. I don't see why we should stop that benefit if it's going to be better in the long run. You know, hey, maybe it's going to take that evolution for us to stop eating meat sooner, and that would save more animals in the long runs than it is now, than it would to stop now. I don't know these things. We have to see that. Cognitive diss, no, not for you. I'm talking about people I know. I don't know you. I know random people in here. Isaac was cool. I talked to him a few times. You know, we started off on a bad foot on a stream, but then we went back and forth and talked a bit more on like a cool basis, like, you know, tweeting back and forth, and you know, I got to know him a bit at least before we started talking. So it wasn't like I just invited a random person in. Oh, sorry, I had to burp. Oh shit, I already did that. Oops, the wrong person. Oh, there you go. Hello.
What up, Alf?
What's up, man?
Hey.
That was fun.
I was listening to that, maybe about 30%, maybe half attention. I was WhatsApping and playing chess and touching myself, normal stuff. But maybe you could give me some highlights. Like, what were you surprised? What happened?
No, it was all the same stuff, man. It's the same shit over and over again. It's total template.
He's a peon. He's a follower. He's a regurgitator. He's not an originator of thought. He's just giving you the script.
I was trying to go in areas where, like, it'll try to move him on to like thinking bigger and seeing other things, but we would just switch it up to, I seen this, and I seen Ask Yourself do this with this, and I'm gonna try it on you. And it's like, no, don't try other people's shit on me, man. Just talk with me. I was like, I just want to have a conversation like this.
So obnoxious. They keep going into the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
Like wannabe traps, and they're just like, they mention slavery, they mention the Nazis, they mention fucking aliens, and it's such a unearned. I mean, if I said to you, it's a pathetic argument. If I said to you, "Hey, Alf, do you watch Netflix or do you watch HBO? Which one do you watch more?"
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
No, but and you say. You answer, I think there's a right answer to that. Okay, I think you should watch Netflix. But you say, no, I watch HBO. And I go, well, wait a minute, that's wrong. It's like, wait a minute, if slavery was wrong, you acknowledge that, right? So why can't you see that watching HBO is wrong? That's wrong. Slavery's wrong. That's the argument. There's no connecting fiber here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like using that box analogy, and I was like, but there's so much more complexities between the decision between two boxes and two.
And why are they
features? Like,
why are they such self-loathing human beings? Why are they so anti their own species? Like, what do they think is special about humanity? Nothing. Is there any loyalty? Or
loyalty? They just think that we're all the same on all levels, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
that's
what the trait comes down to.
But like out of self-interest, I mean, don't you understand that we operate from self-interest? I mean, are they claiming to be so ethical that they don't operate out of self-interest? Because I'd love to hear them defend that. See, they try to portray themselves as these ethical superheroes, which is cringy and fucking really repugnant to witness, because we all know they're not. But I mean, maybe if you're great on a curve, so they just seek out people they're slightly more ethical than, and they're like, aha, see, I told you I'm awesome. Meanwhile, they're doing nothing in their lives, and they're fucking scumbags. They're desperate scumbags who have low self-esteem, and they need a boost. That's what they're doing.
I would have liked to have heard him be more himself and like tell me his own ideas and stuff. That's there you are.
Okay.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Tristan?
What degree of self-interest am I allowed to have?
Yeah, that's kind of where it always ends up, and it's like you never.
And just the wannabe philosopher vibe is so sickening. Like, put it this way: if you're trying to convince someone to be a vegan,
until you can name the trait, I don't think that you really have grounds to talk here. You know, you need to learn how to name.
Shut up, you balding cuck.
You and your fact squad have tried over and over and over again to name the trait, and you just can't fucking do it, and it's pathetic. I used to respect you guys. No more.
What is the equivalent to name the trait for the religious? with an argument that they're so fond of, and they think it's just a slam dunk, but it isn't. But they stick
Probably
with it anyway.
Pascal's wager or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe something like the cosmological, or just like what happened before the Big Bang. Aha! Mic drop.
The croco duck.
Yeah, the banana.
Yeah, the banana. Oh man.
So who are you talking to? I've been busy with
some dude named Isaac. He didn't know who you were either. I mentioned him to you. We were talking about name the trait, and he wanted to go into name the trait, and I was like, oh, we've been through this so many times. And I was like, oh, we actually, because he was saying that it's like I'm saying how it's a terrible argument, and he's like, oh, I think it's the best argument, this and that. I'm like, I know vegans who think it's a terrible argument, and he was like, really? And he never even heard of that. I'm like, yeah, you probably know him, Tristan. He was in the Ask Yourself circle, and not anymore.
Yeah, I haven't. I've kind of disconnected from a lot of those people.
It's cool.
It's just this big jack off. There are all these people who are anti Isaac, and then there are all these people who are pro Isaac, and frankly, I don't give a fuck.
I mean,
about either group any longer. So we found this new guy who's this anti-Semite vegan guy. His name's Vegan Cheetah, and he thinks that Jews are after him, etc., etc. So he's been our recent cow. We've been trolling his server for the past couple of months.
Tristan, I'm disappointed, first of all, that you didn't ask me in on that. Anti-Semite, and you don't think I'm going to have fun there? Shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Felt the love there, brother.
But I don't even totally dislike that kid. He seemed fine enough. I just see him as another copy, and he's just using templates, and that's one of my pet peeves. I hate that people can't think for themselves. It's like, oh.
There's a fundamental problem here. People enter into this conversation with different understandings of what the conversation is.
Yeah, exactly.
They have one note that they do. They do their vegan cunty shit, and they spit the same arguments, as if we are sitting here like saying veganism is bad or trying to defend meat eating. Like they try to frame it like defend that you're not, just an evil person, an immoral. That doesn't work. It's not the default. It's pathetic that they try to make that the sort of null hypothesis that we have to defend why we are the way we are. So you're either trying to convince us or you're not. But they talk to a guy like me or Alf, and they don't understand that we're trying to like help them hone their arguments. And like us shooting down a vegan argument is not saying veganism is shit. It's saying your argument is shit. That's a big difference.
No, I've telling you, I'd like to see the veganism advance and them win the cause.
Like I could do this with atheism. Yeah, there's a bunch of bad arguments for atheism, and I'll criticize an atheist. Doesn't mean I'm against atheism. It just means Jesus, you're a moron. And these wannabe philosophers, they smell their own farts and they high five each other. And they're, the fallacies and appeal to nature, this and that. Nobody operates in this world. So if you're going to try to convince another wannabe philosopher, then maybe you have a shot. But anybody who isn't this cringy fucking thing, you might want to speak in layman's terms and come up with better arguments.
I mean, I've told them before, I'm not a debater. I don't want to debate. I just want to have a conversation about it. You know what I'm saying?
Did you see what one of them wrote in the chat?
That's him. I think that's him.
What are you scared to debate him because you know what'll happen to you? Like the whole world will end once you get defeated by fucking vegan games.
I think debates are boring. I don't really ever watch debates unless it's somebody I really like in it, and it's more because I like that person. It's not because I want to see a debate.
Okay, here's what it is. I just figured it out. The vegans remind me of MGTOWs because MGTOWs, MGTOWs are MGTOWs because they have gone out into the world, tried to convince women to fuck them. They said no, and now they're pissed, and they blame the women. So these people are trying to convince us to be vegans. They can't, and now they're mad at us and like projecting out their anger at us.
Is that what you're doing, Tristan?
Yeah. Well,
he's like, no, wait, yeah.
I just checked into this hotel.
Trying to get so make that weekend for Tristan then, isn't it?
But think of it. They're failing at what they're trying to do. And they're frustrated.
I love this claim he made.
Even though we're not them, we're trying to like tell them like, hey, this argument isn't working because it's not working on
very
me.
Sympathetic. Very sympathetic to the argument.
That's an obstacle you have to get through. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And how many times they're wasting?
Oh, ow.
Here's myself that as
The hotel has shitty Wi-Fi.
Yeah, or maybe
look at those dark shark eyes.
You're like roboting, bro.
Question: where do they come up with this claim that everyone can be completely happy being vegan and not eating meat? I would be so miserable if that happened.
Wait a minute. Can I just say that Tristan would have made a great Nazi? He looks like an SS officer. Can somebody Photoshop?
Yeah,
somebody Photoshop.
Blood, son.
Tristan, shake your fucking head, bro. It's time.
Just to see if you could log out and come back in. Maybe that'll help because you're like freezing up.
Yeah, I'm new and I haven't.
Yeah, we can't make out what you're saying.
Got into my room, so
oh, I caught in my room.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, well, I understood that part at the end.
So, I mean, what they never understand, there was one time where he said, take a cow and a human, and now start adding traits to the cow, and you tell me...
Why?
No, but because they're trying to do this stupid
Make
equation.
It something it's not.
Here's what it is. They think that the finish line is, here's their bedrock. Bedrock is, you know it's wrong to kill and eat a human. Okay? Mm-hmm. So if I can just get you back to saying a cow is a human in some weird way, like ignore all the differences between a cow and a human. And
cows would die off if not for
cow. Add all the things that you would need to make it a thing that you wouldn't kill.
But here's the thing. I know, but here's the thing. We don't need to have a theoretical. We've done this. It's called a chimpanzee. If you add sentience and higher cognitive ability and this is far more human-like, then yeah, we don't eat chimps. That's the reason we don't eat chimps. So why are you trying to get to humans? It's so pathetic. There's a million animals we don't eat. Why are you not? They jump over that line and they try to get to the, well, if I could just get them to think of killing a cow is like killing a human. We're never going to think that because it's not true, you fucking idiots.
Because they're totally different things.
Yeah, and meanwhile, none of us are eating dogs. We're not eating dogs and cats.
Yeah.
So the bar is way lower. Stop trying to get to humanity, you dipshits.
And why'd you skip over pigs, man?
Yep, make the case for pigs. And that's the thing. They're such idealistic faggots that they don't want to take off one animal, say, from the meat eating list. Like I've asked them before. Yeah, they're all or nothing. That's why they're like.
I was like, what do you think of like starting like a reduction movement where people eat less meat so you can reduce the harm to animals? And he was like, no, that doesn't work, because he like basically saying that it's still unethical and he would want it to stop. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen though. Like you're not gonna stop it.
Here's a great idea. Say, try to institute vegetarian days in school lunches, like, or just as a social norm. Like Mondays are vegetarian day or vegan day. Fuck it.
Yeah.
One day is vegetarian, one day is vegan. Why not? They're like, no. That's the equivalent of like back during the slavery years having no slavery Saturday. It doesn't work. They're like,
all or nothing.
I would still say no slavery Saturday is
a better question
than just straight slavery.
This is something no one ever asks vegans. What if you don't actually like, vegan food, and you can't eat it physically because it makes you fucking want to throw up? It's disgusting. Like I eat like 4 or 5 different vegetables. Am I supposed to never eat meat again and just eat the shit I don't like all the time and be happy?
The whole point is that there is a method to the madness of weaning people off meat, and you have to supplement your diet with more vegetarian options. That's just a normal common sense thing. Meanwhile, they're trying to shame you from a moral standpoint. They're moral fagging over you, and it's just not working. It's not working.
How are they more moral to care more about other species than their own species?
It really bothers me that vegans don't really push the in vitro meat thing. I think that's like the biggest.
I know they ignore it.
The best thing they could push, and
because they get off. They get off on saying I'm better than you.
Yeah, I guess so.
But here's the thing.
Anna-Kasparian syndrome.
I've been on record. I've said vegans are more moral. That is more ethical than to not be a vegan. But I can also say, if you dedicate your time to charity and to helping kids with cancer,
ethical thing ever.
You're also more moral than me. That doesn't, because I don't dedicate my time to charity, doesn't make me immoral.
Yeah.
It just makes you more moral.
That's
so
why
they don't get that
on a subject, not even in general.
That's why I think that the health argument fails on veganism too, because the vast majority of people are just not trying to be at optimal health. You know, they just want to be kind of healthy.
Right, and they come in it with such bad faith. They come in it with this, "Oh, Alf, you're stupid," and you're kind of an evil monster, and you're kind of like, and you're kind of like a rapist and a slave owner.
They think I don't get it because my answer doesn't suit their template. You know what I'm saying? Because they haven't said that if I answer this way, then I say this. But I don't say that because it doesn't make sense to me, and then it never goes anywhere. You know, they think that I'm being absurd or whatever.
Well, take it out of the context of veganism. If you were trying to convince someone to join your charity and dedicate their time to your charity, would you shame them and say, "Yeah, you fucking asshole, why aren't you dedicating your time to a charity?" It's like, it's not an effective way. They have no people skills. I think they're spurgy in their lives. I don't think they have functional relationships.
They are basically, like you said, MGTOWs, just another offshoot of some kind of internet loser.
Yeah, they're behind the 8 ball. They have an uphill battle. They act like we owe them something. It's like, we're perfectly fine. Alf went into that conversation not trying to make this guy not a vegan. The other guy went to the conversation trying to make Alf a vegan.
Does anyone ever go into these arguments and try and make people not vegans? Never. Not once has it ever happened.
He puts me on the side of like trying to convince him, and I'm like, I don't need an answer for that. I'm not trying to convince you of anything.
But you have to understand, this is a basic people skills situation. This is like an acting scene. What is your motivation? Well, my motivation is just to talk to a guy and express my views. The other guy's motivation is to change this person. So you have to sell them. What they're doing is not, they think that they're, I don't know, these noble crusaders. They're salesmen. They're selling a lifestyle choice that would require some effort on the other person's part.
Vegans knocking on your door in like 5 minutes. I like to speak to you about
as a salesman, this would never work. If a salesman was trying to sell vacuums or encyclopedias and use the stupid shit that the vegans are doing now, they wouldn't sell any.
Let me debate you on using this vacuum over your vacuum.
You want to buy a vacuum? Oh, no thanks, bro. Wait, what, you're afraid to debate me on this vacuum? And
my vacuum isn't better than yours.
Wait, name the trait in your broom that, if present in this vacuum. It's like,
what were you trying to say, Tristan?
Well, I was gonna run through veganism from my perspective as a vegan. It makes me a little bit different here. It's kind of like all you white guys constantly talking about race. None of you are black, so you don't really you don't really understand what it's really like. So I don't know. I'm not even sure why I went vegan, and it was like a few years ago. My wife was talking about it, etc., etc.
There we go. Like, nail on the head. The wife.
For the pussy.
The pussy. That's what.
I knew that it was the better position from the beginning, or ever since I started investigating it. I was just too lazy to get around to become vegan. So finally, a few summers ago, I went vegan, and at first I was approaching it kind of like you guys are. It's just a different diet, etc., etc. But then you start getting into like the righteous element of it, like this replacement of religion, and you start thinking of yourself as a philosopher or an ethicist or something like that. And, you start associating with other vegans, and it has this like cult element to it. So I went into that for a little bit, and then I disconnected from that. And from a distance, I'm like sitting here looking at it on the horizon in my life. And what I see is all I did was changed my diet. I decided to go to a different aisle in the grocery store, right? And by deciding to go to this different aisle in the grocery store, I have, improved my health. I've improved the environment a little bit. I've also spared some of these worthless lives from happening, and all of that is positive, and it all is real, and it is positive. But at the same time, I'm not this like righteous person or anything. I literally just walked to a different aisle in the grocery store. That's all that is actually happening, right? And there's this tendency to make that walk to a different part of the grocery store, or going to a different restaurant, or eating a different item on the restaurant into something much more than it is, making it out to be like I'm a logical assassin, or I am you know, like a really great person. You guys are all shit, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, all it is you are simply going to a different part, a different place for your food. I mean, that's all that it actually is.
Well,
to be honest, when I first met you, Tristan, you were like that. You would be like come in with template arguments and stuff like that. I think me and you had an argument right off the bat the first time you came in, and you came in with I was arguing with Israel, and then you came in.
Yeah,
we went back and forth, and you were throwing templates at me too. It was the same kind of argument.
It's like video games.
When did this change happen to you though? Because you were a very different person then. There was actually a moment where a lot of us didn't like you, and we booted you out, and then you came back in, and you, I don't know, over time. No, but over time he became somebody we really liked, and he became a really cool dude. He was funny, and I enjoy talking to him.
Yeah, cool I'm not really sure.
It broke his shell.
it just kind of fell apart over time. It's not that I think that there's any. Well, okay, the name the trait thing. I've known there were problems with that from the beginning. I've known there were problems with a variety of different vegan arguments the whole time. But regardless of whether or not there are problems with the arguments, there is truth to the fact that it is the better position to hold because there are benefits to holding that position. But yeah, the way that it's set, I can't really give you an account of whenever some kind of change happened in me. It like I said, it's basically like a video game or just online debate and arguing with people, which I've done for many years, is like a video game to me. And you guys Devin likes to play chess, and it's like my version of chess. But then maybe it was earlier in this year. It was towards the beginning of this year. Somebody brought up the fact that, like, hey, rather than arguing on the internet, you could actually learn a variety of new skills. So now you'll notice I'm mostly just like laid back and memeing and shit, and I'm not trying to really argue with anybody too much. And what I'm doing in a side tab is I'm learning how to do new things. Right, I'm learning things that can actually benefit me, and I think that that's a much more fruitful use of my time.
Tristan, I have a question for you.
What's that?
Do you have sex exclusively with humans, or do you have sex with cows too?
I've had sex with a few cows throughout the years, but
that's called rape.
Humans, but there are elements of cow relationships that you just can't get with a human.
Name the trait that is lacking in the cow that disables you from sleeping with them. What is the difference between a human and a cow that necessitates that you only sleep with humans and not cows?
Well,
they both have vaginas.
I've said many times that I like relations with cows, but you know the intimacy of cows is lacking compared to humans.
Okay, but stop telling me jokes, because I want to hear the logic of this name the trait, and I want to hear you give me an actual answer as to why you only sleep with humans and not cows. What's the difference?
There's some kind of innate attraction that I have to humans.
Appeal to nature? Appeal to nature.
Right. I'm giving you an account of my actions. I'm not justifying my actions. I'm just giving you an account of my actions, right? And then that's
so if I said there's something innate that makes me not want to kill and eat humans, what do you think vegans would spur on that? How would they deal with it?
They would say that it was an appeal to nature, most likely, but it actually isn't, because you're giving it an account.
Well, how about an appeal to intuition? Is that a fallacy?
I haven't heard
appeal to instincts.
Vegan Gains is always coining new fallacies based on things he doesn't like. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had done that one.
Let me just mention for anybody in the stream, Vegan Gains regularly talks about his bowel movements on camera, and he posts it to tens of thousands of people. He's like, so anyway, I just took a big shit, and I think I sprained my back, and I'm about to go to bed. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
I think you know what I think of Vegan Gains? I'm in favor of race mixing, but not for him. I think that something really wrong happened in that mix, because it reminds me of the white tigers. Like they're not supposed to breed. Like white tigers there's something fucked up with their brains because of the inbreeding. I'm not sure his parents aren't related, to be honest.
Inbred fallacy, Devin.
Maybe
fuck Richard.
Like, what if he's a mulatto, but he actually comes from 2 mulatto parents, and they were
Yeah.
brother and sister. So he, not only somehow he's actually mulatto and inbred at the same time.
I don't know how he got that forehead out of his mom's vagina. I mean, that must have been a C-section, because there's no way. Frankenstein, motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for those people in some ways. I mean, they're bringing a lot of the negative attention they get onto themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel bad for them because if you take their approach to its logical conclusion, you can't do things like get into an Uber without making an argument with somebody. Like, you hop into the Uber and the guy has leather seats.
Well, here's the thing. When they argue with us, they try to take this moral high ground position. They try to like morally shame us and appear to be this super ethical, right? But there's a lot of deafening silence. They're not doing a million things on a million different fronts, and they're also assuming that our goal is to maximize our ethical ways and like play this LARPing game with them. Like, they are not working for charity for AIDS. They're not worried about the people of Africa or improving getting clean water to these people who are impoverished. They're not doing that. They could. They're playing video games at night instead of doing that. But on this one issue, they have the slight tweak in their dietary habits, and they think, I'm better than everyone. I'm going to let you know about that one thing, not the 1,000 things that I could be doing but I'm not doing. So it comes across as disingenuous, and it's bullshit. That's why they all kind of have that creepy vibe. That's what it feels wrong, because they're not moral superheroes.
And they don't do things like, if they get into an Uber, fight with the Uber driver for buying the leather seats or whatever. I would imagine in real life they don't behave that way very frequently.
No, I don't think
and
so.
If they did, then their lives would be pretty awful.
That's
right.
Like, if we were going around every day, like, just bitching out people, why are you wearing a cross? You should be an atheist. Like, we would never.
Ask yourself, saying that he called me a bitch on Twitter. I was like, there's no way you would come say that to my face, dude. Like, how dare you to come say that to my face?
I mean, so their argument is, why don't you be slightly more moral like me? And we'll both be on the spectrum of being slightly better than some other people, but way worse than some other people. And they don't view it like that at all. They view it like they are the enlightened crusaders saving, animal genocide.
They don't realize that we could best them on 10 other moral instances.
Vegan Gains is in the chat.
Better than them.
And he says, claiming that vegans aren't perfect isn't an argument against veganism. This is the entire point.
Oh, he's gonna
I'm not arguing against
None of us are arguing against
motherfucker.
We never did.
We're arguing against you being a cunt who thinks you're hot shit, but you are.
Yeah.
Hey, tell Vegan Gains that how does he mentally do? What kind of mental gymnastics does he do to be so hostile to Kalel, but have a wolf dog that he was feeding large scraps of animals? Why was he so hostile to a natural vegan and Kalel when he had this wolf dog that he was feeding animal remains to regularly? But now he's all of a sudden some kind of puritanical giant?
Well, look,
personal attacks are fun. Vegan Gains.
All of these vegans.
Mike said, "Vegan Gains, please fight me."
Hold on, I got to run out to my car to get a charger.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Look, all of these vegans, they are converts. They used to not be vegans, and they live with the guilt of all the animals that they've helped to kill and eat. And it reminds me of Jodie Foster from Silence of the Lambs. Like, when they go to sleep at night, they're like, I keep hearing the lambs, the crying of the lambs.
It's basically like white guilt or German guilt for the vegans.
Yeah,
that's what it is. We just need to name it. I can't think of anything good. Come on, Devin. This is what you're golden at.
Trait guilt.
Well, they're clearly operating from some poisonous places. They're not coming into this like just normal functional people.
That was my whole point from the beginning. Your goal is to convince people. It's not like we made the perfect analogy before of the salesman like fucking coming with a vacuum and then debate me on your broom versus this vacuum. Who's gonna want to buy your vacuum then? I mean, nobody wants to debate you on that.
Like what they need to do is get outside of this topic and understand how people work and how you can be persuasive. They need to study Mormons. Like Mormon people, they go to your door and they try to convince people to become Mormon or to read the literature. And there's a variety of ways you can go about that. You know, there's the hard sell, there's the soft sell. You could be like, hey, do you believe in Jesus Christ? Oh, really? Well, are you planning on spending your eternity in hell? Do you understand you need to avoid hell? Like, that's a technique. Now, we can criticize that technique. We could say, you know, maybe you go with positivity instead of this fear angle. You know, they are so into themselves that they think not only are they morally superior, but they're perfect at arguing. Like they know exactly the arguments. They don't. And they're making enemies of allies, and it's retarded.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think they believe in the concept of a vegan ally. No. They don't see the difference between someone who's pro-veganism but not a vegan and someone who's anti-veganism and not a vegan. There's no difference in their mind.
God, he wants to come on.
How many anti-vegans?
I don't see the point of that.
I haven't met one.
It's just arguing back and forth.
Don't platform that fucking.
Yeah, so it's not going to be productive anyway. What's the point of you coming on?
Lotto scarecrow.
Oh my God, Devin, you're pro deep.
Exactly what I wanted to avoid was like having people on and then us just all yell at each other. Like that's not going to go anywhere.
Can you imagine? He's like, somewhere on the internet they're talking about my one topic. Why don't you go describe your latest bowel movement, you fucking freak? Hideous motherfucker. Go put some strawberries or raspberries in your girlfriend's toes. Disgusting. You're a sociopath, bro. You're not going to live to be 30. Fuck you.
Oh, man.
Bets on whether this is in a video soon.
Now we need to debate me, bro.
These guys won't even debate.
I like how like Mike offered like to fight him, and then Dan did too. And then Vegan Gains didn't tell Mike, yeah, let's fight. But he goes to Dan. It's like, tell me where you want to go, bro. There's plenty of gyms to fight at. Fight Mike. I want to see that. Yeah, I would pay for that, man.
Logan Paul is fighting KSI a couple days.
Yeah, that's true.
No, we just don't care to debate you.
Let's get Vegan Gains on the undercard.
You're pointless to us.
Vegan Gains versus Mike. That's what.
Yeah, we're desperate to hear Vegan Gains go over the vegan agenda. Yeah, we've already mapped it out.
He thinks we're desperate. Like he's like, oh, you won't even like defend your position. I don't feel like I need to defend my position. I don't care to.
There's no defending, you moron.
There's no desire to. I'd rather go eat a steak and fuck someone like your mother.
I've explained this in videos before. This is like going up to a girl at the bar and being like, defend your position as to why you're not going to fuck me tonight. You're trying to do something here. You're trying to convince someone of something.
Mm-hmm. Ask yourselves here, like, if he didn't like prove himself dishonest to us, why would we even talk to you? You're fucking dishonest as fuck.
Alf, why is he coming to you in your nobody channel?
So I'm nobody, right? I'm fucking.
What's going on here? We got the big boys coming to the nobody channel.
Alf,
you know how often I talk about like YouTubes on here and nobody comes. Like they don't come here to talk to me.
Do you realize that Alf just murked a vegan and he mind triangled him, and he didn't even use the guinea pig defense or the chicken finger defense?
Yeah, you want to kill humans that are stupid?
Costs money. You don't get that for free.
Yeah, wait. I missed that whole part. Alf, what were you talking about with the killing humans to help humanity? What the hell was that about?
I was like, dude, there's people starving. Like, why not killing humans, but there's people starving, like people that die. Why don't we use their body as food?
You're talking about after they're dead?
Yeah, after they're dead, obviously not killing people.
Oh, so like putting them in
I'm establishing that eating human meat isn't an issue here. Like, the issue is
I mean,
because we're the same.
But don't we do that? Like we have organ donors and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's also you shouldn't eat things that just die on their own.
But the issue is because of religion and tradition. We barely just burn them up. Like, what a waste of.
You shouldn't eat a lobster if it's just dead in the tank because it's already growing fucking bacteria and shit and all that. That's why we kill things to eat them.
Hey, Devin.
So we know they're freshly dead and nothing has grown in them.
For some things, like if they get old.
Something weird about lobsters is they only have like 100,000 neurons, whereas your average housefly has 250,000 neurons. So there's good reason to believe that
fish are brain dead.
Lobsters are straight up brain dead, or they're far less intelligent than a housefly. So ethically, it's worse to kill a housefly than it is a lobster.
So
you know what's scary though? I feel sad because remember I made these vegan videos and we were talking veganism like months ago. I have not thought about it literally since then. But I know for a fact that these people think and talk about it every day of their lives. It is definitional to who they are. and it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm just gross. I want to take a shower.
Yeah, I was gonna say that reminds me. What I was gonna ask: how often do you even eat animal products to begin with? I mean, you mostly eat vegan food, if I understand correctly.
Because especially if my girlfriend is cooking and she does, then yeah, and I have no complaints because it's good food and whatever. But look, we live in a society where it is more difficult to go vegan. It's an inconvenience. And yes, it's not as moral as being vegan, but it is more expensive and trickier.
But vegans are.
No, I agree with that. I'm currently
the moral
out of
arbiters
function
of
for
our
the
lives,
next few days. And every time they put out a buffet, it's like nothing but meat and cheese. It seems like.
Oh, well, put it this way: when I was living in Buenos Aires for 5 weeks recently, and almost every night I went to a vegetarian buffet, and loved it. But that was because I had so many choices. Usually, you go to a restaurant, it's meat, and you have like one vegetarian choice. So you're basically just like, I know that I could hear them saying, "Oh, so for taste pleasure, you're willing to kill."
Yes.
Well, there are all these social pressures on.
That's why they make vegan burgers and not just eat the fucking veggies by themselves, isn't it?
And
it's
I've
the same fucking
I've got to
thing.
explain to them that I'm vegan, and then whenever I tell them that I'm vegan, they want to debate me immediately. And I'm like, do you seriously want to debate one of your coworkers on veganism right now? Like, is that really what you want to do?
Here's my point. Here's the ultimate point of this whole thing. What does it matter if Alf, me, Billy Bong, any of these people are vegan or not? They know that this is just window dressing. Nobody cares. This is not going to affect any global anything. But if something positive, something useful can come from a discussion between a vegan and a non-vegan, surely it is the honing of the argumentation of the vegans. But they're resistant to that. Because if they could decipher, you know what, I'm going to de-emphasize that stupid human thing or the alien thing or the name the trait thing, and I'm going to go with this line of reasoning because these people are helping me. It's like iron sharpens iron, isn't it? Something like that. Like you have to get better at what you're doing because it's not working. They're not willing to admit that.
It's like science, really. So you've got a sample population who all has one quality that you're trying to bring to another quality, and you can try a variety of techniques to get there. But if you see a technique is failing to get A to B, then you don't continue to try that technique over and over and over and over again, especially with the same people.
Yeah, because look, an idea has a ripple effect, and way more important than winning an argument or trying to get one person to change their ways. Try to get to a better idea or series of ideas.
Yeah, seriously. It's so you eat mostly vegan food, and I just find it weird that they would pick you as a target because you were against animal abuse. You were against a dog being abused.
Right.
It's such a strange thing. Recently, Vegan Gains went after this girl named Falafel Kitty, and she had gotten popcorn with butter on it. And
golden flavoring or butter.
Right, and she had also gotten silk. She had bought a silk dress, which comes from spiders, so it's exploitation of spiders, right? She thought that was, or many people called her out on it, thought it was terrible. But I just think that choosing people like that are some of the worst decisions. And now Vegan Gains is going after Unnatural Vegan for heresy because she said that she's pro-reduced vegetarianism.
Well, here's an idea that just came to me on the top of my mind. So usually the vegan enters a debate and he starts shaming the meat eaters, going, "You eat meat. You eat cows, you eat pigs, you eat chickens." Why don't they start just as a tactic by talking about all the animals that meat eater doesn't eat and get them to explain why they don't eat those types of meat and build momentum and also then give them credit for it in a weird little manipulative move. Be like, "You don't eat dogs? That's okay. Impressive. I don't eat dogs. Cool. High five on that. Hooray for dogs."
To be fair,
Devin, you named almost every animal we eat just there, by the way. We don't eat many animals.
A big topic of focus would be lowering the consumption of meats in America because in America we overeat and overproduce meat. Do you think that the main goal should be to lower that first?
Yeah, to be fair, many vegans try a variety of arguments. You've just ran into this group of spurgs who don't have much education or knowledge and ripped off a few talking points of YouTube videos and think that they're, you know, the great minds of our time. And so they,
you know what it is, that they're atheists
over and over again on you.
They're mostly all atheists.
And that's where it goes to. What is the definition of overproducing meat? How much meat is overproduction? That's where it goes to. Well, we weigh our skills on that, don't we?
Yeah.
This is atheism 15.0 that you're dealing with right here.
Remember,
minus 12.
But like, this is like a basic compliment sandwich. So if you're a boss and you're trying to tell your employee you want to criticize them like they did something wrong, you don't just come and go, "You fucked up again, Sally, my secretary, motherfuck." You know, the TPS reports need to be filed in this shelf, whatever. No, you start with something positive, you end with something positive. This is a skill. You should be doing this in every phase of your life. But they don't. They just go negative, negative, negative.
Yeah.
And they expect to have positive results. And it's just,
I don't think they don't come at it from the proper angle.
Yeah, I'm not looking at your chat. I don't have anything. I'm just literally talking into my phone. Are there many vegans still left in the chat?
Vegan Gains still type in Polybant. I'm not sure if that's a vegan, but I'm guessing.
What do vegans think about using?
I would recommend reading like Robert Cialdini or Scott Adams. Believe it or not, I'm surprised myself by how good Scott Adams' books on persuasion are. Because I listened to his episode with Sam Harris and was very underwhelmed by his performance. I mean, Sam Harris totally just ripped the shit out of him. But his books on persuasion are actually really good. So Robert Cialdini and Sam Harris, or not Sam Harris, Scott Adams, I would recommend them actually reading their books if they're trying to become better persuaders. But I don't think that they are really that concerned. I think that they're just mostly an entertainment thing where they'll, you know... Okay, the reason that people watch Vegan Gains is because there are many vegans out there like myself who have to go to these work functions where everybody's eating meat and cheese and the whole thing's frustrating. And you want to just like vent. So that here's this guy on the internet who is just totally fucking spurging out, yelling at people and making death threats, et cetera, and it feels good. It feels very good for this guy to be doing all of that venting on your behalf. So I think that Vegan Gains himself, it occupies that niche of just like angry person, somebody who's angry on your behalf.
What about this, though, Tristan? Like the fact that the entire world have mostly been meat eaters and vegans are this newer thing. And it's like
a tradition.
It's like coming in.
That's where this gets shitty.
Videocon and being
it's
like,
funny because that's
why
what he related.
Why you fucking guys got video games out all here?
He related eating to pedophilia. Like, how are those even close to being comparable? Like, and
well, look, how hard is this to figure out? Like, they come at it going, "Hey, nice to meet you. You've been living a monstrous and immoral life for your entire life. You should change. You should change now." Instead, why don't they go, "Look." They should come and say, "Look, you have been doing what is normal in the society in which you were raised. Your parents gave you the diet that you were given. And it's less than ideal, though, I'm going to suggest. And I think you could be healthier and more ethical and live an even better lifestyle if you went this way. And here's 10 reasons why." Not saying you're Hitler, saying you can improve. This is an option. Here's reasons why to buy my product. That's
and it's not hard. That's like not a hard pitch to accept, because if you look at a variety of other topics, I mean, we could take the topic that you focus on predominantly, which is race. You're told in society that white people colonize these other people, and the difference of outcomes between blacks and whites is a result of racism, et cetera, et cetera. And finding out that that is a lie, like many people are beginning to do, is, you know, like, you were never a bad person for believing that, or even if you were against white people at any point in time, you were just confused, right? So yeah, there are a lot of things in our day-to-day life, especially as we mature, that we find out were not actually true, that we were told, and we were even maybe militant about.
Right.
So yeah,
I mean, like,
really
smoking. How would you convince someone to stop smoking?
Look at this guy.
Oh, hey, it's Richard. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Howdy doody. Hey, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
How do you go after somebody like Kalel so militantly and a natural vegan, yet you had that wolf dog that you're feeding scraps to? Were you that hard on yourself whenever you had that wolf dog that you were making these infractions that are greater than the one that she is making?
No, I disagree there.
Reason to justify it then. You weren't so puritanical, but now you want to be Mr. Purity. I mean, what the fuck is
I can explain. Okay, well, there's a few disagreements there, and I can explain. First thing I want to point out, that's a tu quoque fallacy. Any moral failings on my part doesn't actually negate any of the arguments I made against her. So I want that to be clear to begin with.
Objectively right or wrong.
Right, cool. I understand.
I
understand.
This attitude that
cool, and I'll explain. And I'll explain. Okay, so first of all, it was actually my wife's idea to get the dog. She had a friend who was living in, I can't remember, some European country. She didn't actually say she was a breeder. So the idea was that this was just a friend of my wife's. She had a dog that she couldn't really take care of. There were really expensive vet bills that she couldn't handle, and she was trying to look for a home for the dog. So we just came up with an agreement that we'd pay for some of the dog's veterinary bills and pay for the plane flight. No. Well, yeah. So then we just paid for the plane flight.
Aware of the history.
Right. Okay.
I'm just
cool.
saying.
No. Well, I'm about to get to the explanation for why this is a different set of circumstances.
I don't really care. I'm gonna say bye to you, Richard. Bye.
Okay, Stu.
Hey, I like talking to him, but
no, he just jumped in my fucking chat without permission.
How do you get the link?
To get in here from Isaac, the guy I was talking to before.
Guy who just came in.
If I invited him on, it's one thing, but he just jumped in and fucking.
Well, hey, they're looking for new content, so I would expect there to be some kind of new, like, AIU gets skull thought video. So I guess Isaac just tried to
this will be part of a video, you know.
And to be honest, I don't really care. Like, who gives a shit? I don't watch it. Like, I've watched his videos before. I don't like them. I'm not interested in veganism. I don't care. One guy wanted to talk to me, and I said, sure, you know what? I'll have a conversation with you online.
So I couldn't listen to that fucking voice.
I wanted to hear his explanation, but I mean, it's your channel, your call,
but,
whatever.
It was gonna take too long. If he got it out quick, I would have let it. I gave him some time to like get it out. If he got it out quick, that would have been cool. But I'm not gonna sit here and fucking listen to this huge explanation and him take up all my time in something that I don't find enjoyable.
Like, oh my god, that guy's such a pretentious twat. But these people are so funny. Like, they have this assumption we care what they have to say. Dude, you're a moron. Nobody wants to fucking hear your voice. We don't.
I know, Richard. Like, you were not
invited. People don't. You're not allowed to hang out with me. Do you understand that? Yeah. You don't get to talk to me. The people in this room, I've vetted. Yeah. I choose to associate with these people.
Yeah, I'm friends with.
You're a fucking clown. Get out of my life immediately. But what thirsty motherfuckers? They're like, ooh, they're talking about it. Yeah. Ooh, let me say something.
Yeah.
Stupid ass.
The chat's gonna stay. Yeah, don't delete vegan gains or ask yourself so they stay in the chat. I mean, you can defend yourself still. You're in the chat and defend yourself.
I can't wait to go through later tonight and look through the chat log.
Yeah, but I see a lot of people got
some extreme logical assassinations. Okay, here's another thing. Why are they so obsessed with logic?
His first thing he said to you was fallacy. First fucking word out of his mouth.
I'm not making a statement about objectivity. I'm asking why he has a torn attitude that isn't. I'm not saying one thing is right or wrong. So logic isn't going to be the best approach there. I'm looking for an actual explanation. But he couldn't resist. He was like, oh, well, you're making logical fallacy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not saying one thing is objectively right or wrong. I'm talking about your torn attitude, you fucking idiot.
We need to shoot Matt Dillahunty for what he's done. He made this fallacy bullshit popular.
Yeah, well, okay, so Devin was talking about looking at things through an empirical lens, looking to see what actually works, and not about what is objectively right or wrong, morally, et cetera, looking at techniques that have been demonstrated to work. but they can't wrap their head around empiricism. They're stuck on this like rational logic shit. It's weird. It's really fucking weird. I mean, there's a place to look at things to determine their truth value, whether something is objectively true or not. But everything isn't just logic in that sense. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I just fail to understand the need to find consistency within everything. You're not morally consistent if you're not vegan. But nothing
Amy, they don't even
consistent.
care about that because it's only with veganism that this matters.
Yeah,
Point out 20 things how you're more moral than them.
Everything that they think is limited to just veganism. Outside of veganism, it doesn't matter. Like, why would I want to talk to somebody or have this discussion with somebody who is on team animal versus team people? If you are not team people first, you are a suspect in my mind. That's not right.
Exactly.
So, I can imagine how they would be like, oh, she's totally getting that wrong, because they do, if you ask them, they think that humans are better than animals, but they don't use the same rigor in their attacks on others for moral infractions between humans. So it does make it seem as though they are exclusively care about animals.
Well, and that's what I don't understand. Like, I just don't get how you could not be your species first, no matter what the context.
Well, my argument is I'm not convinced the benefits outweigh, like the pros outweigh the cons outweigh the pros yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In eating meat, I'm not convinced.
But even
Nobody has been able to convince me of that.
Okay, but even so, right? Like, let's say there is. I don't know. I just think that the most reasonable approach is reducing the suffering of these animals, and to say that is not moral because it doesn't completely solve the problem of suffering, which you're never going to do. I don't know where this like magical airy-fairy thinking comes from, where, oh, we're going to remove all suffering. No, you're not. So the best thing we can do is to decrease it in whatever way we can, and that I'm for. But they still want to argue against that and say
within
you're a moral
reason.
monster.
Yeah, I actually agree with their position. I just don't agree with the technique. I looked at everything on paper and found veganism was the best option. And it's just embarrassing that I have to be associated with people like that based on my label, by following a vegan lifestyle.
I mean, I just don't think it makes you better than me, personally. You eat whatever you want, dude. That's good for you. But, like, I don't understand. It's a dietary choice. Sure, there may be, like, other negative things that are offset and made better because of
that. You're a complete bitch.
I really want to see this, man. I would definitely 100%. You guys start a GoFundMe to like rent out a gym and have like a pot for the winner. And I will
Vegan Gains thinks he wants to have a discussion. Like he's not just a coin-operated machine. We already know what you're going to say. You're uninteresting.
Yes,
you're not smart.
The same things in the chat that he's been saying in every video that Devin laid out in a fucking the vegan agenda. It's the same points. Why do you think that thing works so well?
Yeah, I don't get why they still want to debate so much. It's the same things over here. Like really, you could just go over his videos. He has hundreds of videos about fucking veganism. Ask yourself, has hundreds.
And also, you don't want to make the same videos forget about debate the same shit over and over again.
They're broken. These are broken people.
The whimperings, they're like, Amy, straw manning fallacy.
They were saying that about you earlier. We were talking. They're like, Devin just straw manning every single argument. Oh my God, it doesn't matter if he wasn't, if he was. Anything he says to you is a straw man. Anything anybody says, this naturalistic fallacy bullshit can suck a dick.
Hey, Amy, that was a 2K quo fallacy, and let me explain to you what you just did wrong right there.
No.
Mother trucker.
But before he said something about, you keep straw manning all vegans or something like that, and he watches you, right? He's watched your videos. He knows all about your like pop culture, the pop culture that surrounds you and the phrases you've made. He should know hashtag not all, right? Like, why is he bringing that? He should know this.
I think Devin says that throughout his videos half a dozen times. Anyway, in the specific vegan ones. So
I don't. It's such a pathetic statement. They can't even describe why it's a straw man. It's not a straw man, and you react to the things they say. They're stupid arguments, and just rip them apart, dissect them. It's embarrassing, and they're like, quick, come up with a smart-sounding word. They're playing make-believe. These are children, angry, dysfunctional children.
Back to what Amy was saying a minute ago about whether or not a vegan is better or worse or whatever. I've got this idea that just came to me the other day through looking up some stuff. So, your average progressive will acknowledge that black people are better at sports than white people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they also think that all races are equal in intelligence, right?
Okay.
And they think that they look at it as just cultural differences. So since they're all equal in all domains except for, black people are better in sports, wouldn't that mean that they think that black people are better than white people, right? They don't just think that all people are equal, they think that black people are actually better than white people. They're black supremacists.
Okay.
Right?
Do you realize I've banned 50 people in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, I've seen the list. This is stuff. Message deleted by message.
Fuck
deleted.
them.
They just come in and they're yelling and spurting. It's like these 1488 bags, but they're like veganism 1488.
Yeah.
Veganism 1488.
Hitler was a vegan, no?
There are alt-right vegans, by the way.
This guy Daniel Gritter just goes, why are all the messages being deleted? Because fuck you, you're deleted now, Daniel. That's why.
But as far as whether vegans are better or not, if you make everything equal in two people's lives, but one person isn't killing animals, contributing to global warming in the same way, et cetera, then that is better, wouldn't you say?
Okay. My views on global warming are that even though there are certain human activities that contribute to it, I don't think stopping to kill the animals to eat them is going to make it that much better because the climate's going to be changing in that direction anyway. So to use that as a particular example, I don't like that one.
Well, the sun is actually in a cycle. This should be a colder part of Earth's lifespan, given the sun cycle that the Earth is in. But global warming is so bad that it's and if you look at how much animals contribute, specifically livestock contributes to global warming, then it's something like 30 to 40% of your footprint if you're eating meat every day.
Okay, but how about if we can find a way to reduce the impact of whatever we do to eat animals on global warming? Would you be for that? Because
I would think, yeah. I mean, obviously that would be better than nothing at all, no doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to what Devin said about meat being convenient and it requiring a lot of fucking work to get a lot of people to change their lifestyles, the way that they've eaten, and just our evolutionary history in general. I mean, that would seem to be a more reasonable approach.
Well, there's something called the reducitarian movement, which is all about taking one step at a time and trying to eventually end up with an outcome where we're exclusively eating lab-grown meat. We're exclusively eating these other options. And I'm a fan of the reducitarian movement. I think that is
I just think that's the most reasonable approach.
Yeah, for me personally...
That sounds like the lamest name for being a cultural vegan. I'm going to be honest.
Reducitarian?
Yeah. Me and Will rebranded it, but made it better.
Well, that's basically what Devin is doing, too. I mean, he doesn't eat very much meat as it is, or dairy. He's mostly vegan. So if you look at it through that idea of reaching to that point in society where we do have good alternatives, nobody is actually going through the old process with livestock, et cetera, then that's what reducitarians are after. And I think that you know, that's a good path. It's a hell of a lot better than just sticking.
So here's a question for you. What do you think is going to take longer, reducing our global warming impact because of animals, or getting people to change their dietary choices and eat no meat or less meat? What do you think is going to take longer to make a noticeable change?
I think that what's going to happen with global warming... have you read Steven Pinker's newest book?
No, I'm just finishing The Blank Slate, okay?
Right. So he goes through a variety of technologies that can make global warming basically disappear. They're just costly. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars of investment. And I think eventually one of those paths will be refined to the point that, and global warming will be so bad that people will all pitch in and we will solve it through technology. I don't think it's going to be necessarily through this reduction of animal agriculture, but at the same time, you have another path that's coming up with the lab-grown meat, which doesn't have the same ecological footprint.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think technology is going to. I think technology will outpace the vegans. Like before vegans can convince everyone to stop eating meat, I think technology.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Don't you think we should, like, vegans especially, should be hyping up this lab-grown meat?
Yeah, I'm on that too. I don't know why they don't. It's really strange to me.
Yeah, I donate money. I've donated money to a variety of groups that are trying to get the lab-grown meat thing going. And
well, can I just say one thing? Like, you vegans need to also be honest when it comes to the lab-grown meat, right? Because there is not a single video I have found on YouTube yet. Well, actually, I think there was one or two. But pretty much 90% of the videos I watched about the Vera steak, vegan steak, were like praising it that it was literally as good as steak. It is nowhere near that at all.
Yeah, Jay eats a lot of vegan foods.
That doesn't surprise me.
I feel like you have to hype it up. You have
lab-grown
to
meat
hype it up in your
vegan.
head.
It still requires you kill animals.
You can hype up the actual good stuff that tastes awesome. Like, for example, the fish goujons are awesome. Like, they are genuinely good.
Listen. What I'm saying is, because they're not getting the full satisfaction of the meat and the meat taste, like, I feel like there is an element of denial and hyping up what things actually are so that they can enjoy them without feeling like they're missing out on meat.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There is this tendency to overlook things for the sake of a potential sway of consumer habit. I know what Jay's talking about. Yeah, I've seen that. I like a lot of the vegan options, but then again, I haven't eaten meat or dairy. Well, actually, I ate a little bit of ham this past Christmas because it was in a dish and I wasn't aware of it.
It's delicious.
But yeah, I got sick to my stomach. I mean, if you go vegan for long enough, then you get sick from accidentally consuming animal products. So
that's a sign.
What is this bullshit that Vegan Gains is spouting about? Apparently, lab-grown meat isn't vegan. What the fuck?
Well, okay, so
why? Because it's made out of meat genetics.
Yeah, you have to take cells from vegan. Or from livestock to grow the animals. But that can be done with just like fucking spit, right? Spit from an animal.
Or you could just take a small piece of the skin and take the DNA.
Yeah, the collagen, like, right?
Jesus, we could probably take it from their shit, really.
Yeah, you're just looking for the DNA of the...
You just need the cells to replicate into muscle. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, so it technically is vegan, but it's... If he wants to be all deontologically pure the way that he has been recently, then yeah, it's not vegan. But it's so much different than the current state of affairs.
Yeah, so much better.
I think that it shouldn't be talked about as if it's, it's more or less more of the same,
Oh, use fetus samples. I'm totally fine with that. Sorry.
Yeah, dude.
That's what he's saying. You could do currently they use fetus samples. I don't see that as a problem.
What do you think about ethical cannibalism? You're a fan of it?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I just don't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it.
I'm saying if there was a way that I can like 100% get some humanely organized human meat, I'd be up for trying it. You know, if someone would just cut
I
off
would
a bit
probably
and was like,
try
mate,
it.
here you
Yeah, I
go,
would have to
have
try
some of my meat. Actually,
I would
not
try
in
it
that
just
way.
out of more
Actually, take
curiosity.
that back.
Women aren't animals. I think this is where we get trapped in the conversation.
Well, they're
he didn't watch.
between...
Well, he didn't watch the whole thing before. He only came in after Devin came on. But
Well, yeah,
this
women,
discussion went on in circles for a long time.
Women are actually what's called femoids, and they're between animals and humans, which the humans are men. So we've got to rid the world of the femoids so that the men can prosper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, humans, we know we're animals, but animals have separation. Fucking shit.
Yeah. Well, shit, guys, I'm going to go grab some food. I'll holler at y'all later. It was nice chatting.
Later, man. Yeah, it's good to have you on. Oh, we got to talk soon, yeah, for sure. Later, man.
Take it easy, Tristan.
Bye, Tristan.
I don't know where that guy before Alf came up with the claim that cannibalism was real normal back in the day.
Yeah,
well, you know what I found really frustrating about your talk is that guy, when he asked you, he was like, okay, so if it was for the greater good of the species, you think it would be okay to kill people with under a 90 IQ?
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as you were like, yeah, if it's better for the species, he started freaking out. And it's like, dude, you provided the context.
Yeah, you're the one who provided the context.
He doesn't expect anyone to answer yes.
That's why I talk about where it's a template, and when you have a
that's one of his gotchas. Like,
yeah, that's not much of a gotcha considering Alpha's like, well, it depends. Like, are you looking short term or are you looking long term benefits?
I think a big problem is they try to break it down to the simplest levels because they're really incorrect in thinking we don't understand the arguments. So they try to make it simpler and simpler and simpler, but the simpler and simpler they make it, the more it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Because there's complexities to it. It's not a simple question. It's not a simple thought process.
I think the box was heavier because it had a steak in it. And not a carrot.
I don't know. Maybe there's a dead cat in it, and I don't know.
Maybe. You gotta eat that shit quick.
Hang on, but here's a real question.
But if I didn't look in it, is it really there?
Oh!
Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, it's just like, is it dead or alive?
Yeah.
Oh, it's there. Wait a couple of days for the smell to come out. What about this? What about like how we use animals for farming? Do they find anything wrong with that? Isn't that exploitation?
Yeah, I'm sure. I go into the...
Oh, well, there is some vegans that think pet ownership is
some
slavery.
Is that Amy
sounds like she's traveling through time. Right?
She does.
I am, guys.
Yeah.
I'm on a time machine on mute, sorry.
Yeah, I'm on a time machine. She's traveling back to her year of 2544.
And like, what about the fact that like these domesticated farm animals would probably go extinct out in the wild? What are we gonna do with them? Is that ethical of us? Is that ethical of us to basically wipe out a species by letting them free?
That's something that would need to have a solution to. Like, what are we gonna do with all these animals? A lot of them,
they're gonna die out. They're gonna get attacked. They're gonna fucking die from starvation.
Yeah, we've domesticated some animals to not even have the ability to survive in the wild anymore. They're like dependent on us now.
Yeah, the cows would never survive in the wild. They're slow, dumb. They fucking eat grass.
We've mass produced too many of them. We've outgrown the replenishment rate of which we eat them. It's like, it's insane. I am for eating less meat. I think people eat too much meat, especially in the U.S. And I think it's starting to take effect in other countries too. When industrialized meat eating has gone over to other countries, it's definitely
I agree.
So I think there is. That's what I'm saying. I think there's scales of balance, and these people see things in terms of black and white. But I think there's scales of balance, and you have to see if the pros
we were talking about
outweigh the cons, or vice versa. Yeah.
Centrist, goddamn.
A centrist. I'm not a centrist. I just like to wait inside to see which way I tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should all start in the center, right?
They're all stupid. Yeah.
And then we tip to one side, depending on how we see it or what evidence we have. But they have a lot of bad
you should disengage with them all.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's
the more you engage, the more they come around.
Yeah, but it's entertaining to some point. To be honest with you, I didn't mind the conversation I had with that kid Isaac. I mean, he seemed like a good kid. he wasn't insulting or nothing. He didn't come at me from like an asshole point of view. You know what I'm saying? I still think his arguments come at me wrong, but not in an offensive way. You know what I'm saying? I was enjoying it. I didn't see it as anything bad. By the end of it, I was like, yeah, we could talk again. I'm not against that. I mean, he seemed like a cool kid. I just don't see the template. They don't see the template problem, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with templates. They work." And it's like, no, they work on certain people. They don't work on everyone, because there's people who think deeper into these things. That those templates are really simplistic, and when it gets to the complex areas, you get lost because you're stuck on the simple arguments. And then you think we don't understand the argument. It's like, no, you're not understanding.
He tries not to kill insects, but he does, right?
Yeah, obviously.
So, but he's not happy with a person who tries not to eat meat but does.
Yeah, you can live with ants. You know what I'm saying? Ants come in your house, they get food, and they leave. Like, you can live with that, but lots of people kill them, right? They don't even think twice about it.
And the interjection of the word unnecessary into every fucking line they spurt. Well, that's bullshit. Who says it's unnecessary? You?
That's why I say that's another area of our contention. Is I'm not convinced that it's unnecessary. I'm not convinced of that.
I think it's necessary for me. I'm not going to enjoy a vegan lifestyle ever. I would never enjoy it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy it.
There's days I go with
less probably and become fucking.
I've actually enjoyed having more vegan stuff in my life due to the fact that I actually appreciate better quality of meat now. So for example, I can't like have shit burgers, you know, like you go to a kebab house and you just get like a normal cheeseburger. Nope, can't eat them no more. I have to get high quality, proper like Aberdeen Angus steak burgers, like proper decent butcher quality.
But that'll happen to you also when you eat better like food in general. You're just like, oh, I can't go back to this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like once
and it's not a debate. A vegan Gaines just doesn't understand the concept of conversation. Like, he wants everything to be a debate. Like, this isn't a debate. We're just discussing. Like, he's like, oh, I could say enjoy
without defend raping position.
But we
really. I have no desire to defend positions.
Yeah, but raping women isn't. That's totally different. How do you equate raping women with eating meat? They're not the same thing. They haven't been the same thing historically. They haven't been the same thing now. Like, they're not the same in people's minds. You can't compare those two things. They're totally different actions with totally different consequences, totally different reasonings and logics behind them. This is what I talk about, where they bring it to the simplest level and there's no complexity in it. Yeah, but the point is, Richard, I didn't invite you, and I don't really care about having conversation. Maybe if I talk to you first. I talked to Isaac, not Ask Yourself, the other guy that I talked to earlier, because we had talked prior, and then we talked a bit. I got to know him a little bit. He seemed cool. So I was like, yeah, we can have a discussion. I don't want to debate, but we can have a discussion and talk about our things. Be cool, you know what I'm saying? And he came in here. He was very nice. I didn't have a problem with him. It wasn't until after he left that all you guys started popping in and being douchebags and shit. Like, at first we were just talking. And
that's
then
what I'm here for.
Afterwards, Devin came in, and then he had his criticisms on it. I agreed with his criticisms. I think he's a template warrior, and I think when you take him off his template, like a lot of you guys, maybe not you, Vegan Gains, because I haven't really seen many people do that to you, but in the end, they get lost after that, and they don't know where they're going. They just lead to calling you absurd and stuff like that. But if you're gonna call people absurd for the way they think, you're not convincing anybody. That's not gonna help you convince anyone. You're in the wrong footing already. This is where I say you guys come from the worst position. Terrible positions, and then you treat it as if we have to justify doing what comes natural to us and has been going on for a long time. We don't have to justify that. You have to justify us. Well, I think Richard, I think you'd understand that you were being rude because you came in without being asked to come in. I mean, you came in rudely. You know what I'm saying?
Can you imagine if one of us just crashed their hangout?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he understands that, man. You think about that. You know that's rude to just jump in on someone's chat. And I think it's rude of Isaac to have given you the link when, I was being nice to him, and I even said I would invite him back and we can talk some more. And then he goes and gives you the link. That's rude. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do that. So you already came off.
But they're so virtuous.
So you can't say like,
hey, we're better morally than you at Hangouts.
And in the end, I don't care to talk to you, Richard. Like, I'm not a fan of your channels. It doesn't bring me any benefit to talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
Debate me on the ethics of
I
your
think it's
hangout.
rude. Well, that's your prerogative. If you think it's rude then for you. I don't think it's rude. I don't really give a shit. You guys can straw man me all you want. Go for it. Like, I don't give a shit. You guys can go on your channels and make videos, you know, saying whatever you want about me. I don't give a shit. I might pop up in the chat and make fun of you guys like you guys are doing here. I don't have a thing against that. Like, you could do that too. Like I said, you could stay in the side chat, talk back. But don't really have an interest in having a discussion with you because I don't even know you. I've seen a few of your videos. I'm not interested. Don't care. Not enjoyable to me. You know what I'm saying? This is why I made the whole joke when it came with the Ask Yourself time where I'm like, where I was like, I was going to charge people to come debate me on veganism because in the end, that's not enjoyable to me. Why do people feel the need to think that I have to do something that's not enjoyable for them? Like, no.
I had a problem with paying
No,
to
you're
debate.
not doing you any favors. Like, what are you talking about? This is my channel. I could talk about whatever you want. You could talk about whatever you want on your channel.
Did they have a problem with paying to debate?
Yeah, I guess they don't. Yeah, they're all like,
to put the money where the mouth is.
Debate. Well, you want me to do a job basically because I'm doing something I don't like for you. So if you're gonna have me do a job, you got to pay me to do that job, right?
Typical Mexican, always wants money for doing a job.
All I care about is that I made some money off of it because I don't really care about that job either. Like just how I treat any other job. Right? It only makes sense. And they're all making fun of me. Oh, he thinks people are going to actually pay him. No, I don't. I think it's ludicrous to ask me to do something I don't like. That's the whole point of the jest. Like you're trying to get me to do a laborious thing I don't like to do.
I don't think there's any point responding to him. He's just spurging.
Yeah, he is.
He's just spurging.
I don't think the link from Isaac Moron. There are other people on the stream. Oh well. If it was someone else, I don't know who. I don't know who because the other people on the stream were all my friends. So I mean,
hey Richard,
maybe Tristan.
Don't you have a dog to kill?
Wait, why did he even have a dog? Like, isn't that like bad? Like, why would he own a dog? It's like another. It's another animal. Just it's like slavery. It's like slavery. What the fuck?
We're not trying to have valid arguments, Richard. We don't have anything against veganism. Is there, how many times do we have to state that? We don't have arguments. We're not trying to have arguments. Yeah, we're not trying to have arguments. You're the ones who are trying to have arguments. You're the ones trying to.
Vegans can eat whatever shitty food they want. Yeah, you can. No one cares.
You could think I'm a murderer all you want. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you think. You can think whatever you want about me. That doesn't affect me in any way.
Thank goodness they're not the creator of the universe.
See,
I didn't admit that. That's what you're making. I'm just saying I don't care that you think what I'm doing is morally wrong. That's where I don't care. And I don't care to defend that because I don't. Who are you? You know what I'm saying? You're nobody to me. I'm not trying to say that to be insulting either. I mean, you're literally nobody to me. I don't know you. Why would I defend something I do to someone I don't know? I'm not being put on trial. I don't have a, penalty of going to jail. So like, why would I discuss it? None of my friends, but I mean,
so just because you don't go to jail for it doesn't make it morally bad.
I'm just saying it's not something that I need to justify regardless. I'm not.
Alf, remember that time we met up and we ate that cheese that was on the pizza?
Oh yeah,
it was dairy.
It was. Oh yeah, it was dairy. That pizza was good though. The square pizza. Right? And the spumoni, right? I'm sure that has some dairy in it too.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Good. Dairy. I mean, I'm not convinced on the dairy thing even more. Like, not debating isn't vegan. Yeah, basically. It's like, why do you have to? It's very strange to me because, like I said, to me, I think the vegan position is to convince people to stop being vegan, and I don't think. Debate is a good convincing tool to a certain degree, but I don't think it's a very good one. Like, I think there's way better convincing tools than debate, especially to the general public, which are the people you're trying to convince. The vast majority of the people you need to convince are the people who don't debate. They're just the average Joe, Those are the people who eat the most, the largest part of the population. Those are the people.
No, you have to come on YouTube and do your hangouts and your videos to please everyone else and not yourself.
Yeah, and debate is just a terrible way. Can you imagine me trying to convince you, like, Billy, there's a fucking unicorn behind your back that's going to eat your asshole.
But every time you turn around, it disappears.
But every time you turn around, it disappears. but I want you to debate me on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna try to totally convince you it's there. We got to debate that it's there, but it's gonna eat your ass soon. So I guess I got to debate you quick. Like it just doesn't work.
I remember, you know why I don't want to debate people? The moment that I was like, fuck anybody who wants to debate was when I fucking agreed to debate with fucking what's his face, the non-believer, and the motherfucker got set up the stream. I'm like, all right, send me the link. He's like, nah, fuck you, Billy. I don't want to talk to you anymore, and he fucking blocked me. So I was like, fuck all these people that want to debate. Fuck them all.
Can I just say this one thing about Richard? Like, how self-important are you that you think that because of your shitty attitude, people don't want to talk to you, and you think we're cowards and idiots? No, asshole. You're a dick. No one wants to talk to you.
I talk to so many people I don't agree with on YouTube.
But the truth in the end is, especially with me, my channel isn't really for me to have arguments with people and have fights and shit. My channel's for me and my friends. If you go through all my live streams, we're all friends. We're all people who talk daily, every day. We're not people who just met each other, you know?
Hold on. You know why, Richard? We are the better species. We are the stronger species. If I want to eat a fucking pig and make some bacon, guess what, bitch? I can do that because I'm the superior species. If pigs could kill me, then, oh well, they could kill me, but they can't. So they don't.
So might is right, Amy?
That's where that goes.
Hell yeah.
Might is right. In some cases it is. Might is right.
It's not even might is right because some of them would kill you.
But I'm not even coming at it from the position that it's right. I'm coming at
animals will kill you.
I don't see it being wrong. I'm not convinced that it's wrong. I'm not convinced that the detriment outweighs the benefits. I'm just not convinced.
Look at what Mark says.
You guys are constantly trying to say things are unnecessary. I'm not convinced of that.
Why do you think you're so important to not fillet every animal you see? Legit question. Legit.
Why don't vegans care that we don't eat 95% of animals and we eat 8 animals?
even if it's smarter and stronger than you to justify. Well, no, because we have a social contract and verbally and
I love how he tried to deny that every social species basically, aren't cannibals.
Okay, first of all, I don't think anybody here agrees with torturing. I think 1,000,000 times over it has been said that we would like to reduce animal suffering. But again, these are the things.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
These are the reasonable approaches that will fall on deaf ears because these people hold extreme positions that do not take into account reality. And that's why he's spurging. He's still in the chat spurging, being a little bitch, saying we're cowards, saying we're this. Richard, you're a fucking bitch, and you're a fucking coward, and you're a slimy cunt, you fucking dog-starving bitch. Why don't you fucking
social
fight
justice
my peers?
does not
You
justify
can't.
slavery.
You ain't shit. Get the hell out of here.
Social contract does not justify slavery.
No, of course not.
It shows a solid lack of understanding for the social contract. Social contract is within species. That shows a really lack of knowledge, which we had at the time. We had a serious lack of knowledge of, some people did, not the whole planet, but some people had a serious lack of knowledge on.
I love how people are like, he wouldn't be debating in chat. First of all, he wasn't invited into the hangout. Do you understand how those things work?
I was saying, you understand that. Stop playing, man.
Do you understand courtesy? Like how common courtesy works? I guess not. Like if you're not invited, it means people don't want to talk to you.
I feel like he's playing a character. Like people really act like this in real life. Like you don't act like this in real life, dude. You must get into fights like every day. Like you could probably kick my ass, but if you talk to me like this in real life, I'd still punch you in the mouth, and I wouldn't care if you fucked me up. And if you talk to me like that every day, you'd have to fuck me up every day because I'd punch you in the mouth every single fucking day.
Oh, look at him. Why don't you have common courtesy to animals? There's no point responding. It's just silly. It's just silly.
Common courtesy to animals.
Why did you have a dog? What common courtesy did you have to own a dog as a slave?
You're trying to tell us. You're trying to talk to us about treating animals better.
I don't really.
You fucking almost killed your dog. Get out.
Why do you point guns at the camera?
So yeah,
I wouldn't even place dogs in the same place with other animals in accordance to us because we've evolved with dogs and we've adapted together, and they have certain traits that benefit us.
Name the trait.
Yeah, it's true. They evolved with us. We domesticated them to suit us. And a lot of those breeds now are
like pigs and like cows.
Yeah, and now they're dependent on us. So I wouldn't even put dogs in that same level. Dogs can read our emotions through our eyes. Like there's things dogs can do that are now that they couldn't do before. that benefit them with living with us. We're like we're almost symbiotic, you know. More on them than us, though. They need us more than we need them.
Our problem right now is that we're reacting to him at all. There's just no point.
Yeah, I don't know. It comes in. I'm not going to talk about the dog killing things. I don't know the whole true story. I'm not going to go call him on that.
I'm just saying
if you guys want to,
so that's like
I'm just saying I don't know the whole story. That's what I've heard stuff about that, but I don't know. I don't like to say that I know that's true if I don't. So I'm not going to say that. Slave owners bred slaves. I guess that makes it okay to kill black people. That the problem was they didn't understand or see or view them as the same race. They were the ones breaking the social contract by having slaves.
And blacks broke the social contract of selling them.
yeah. And blacks broke the social contract by selling themselves. Even that's even worse because they were under the standing that they were in the same race. You know what I'm saying? Black people aren't the same race. No. Well, then we're going to have a solid disagreement on that. 100% disagreement on that.
You think black people and white people are the same race?
Yeah, in terms of animal species,
in terms of humanity,
we're talking. We're not talking about in terms of like
dividing our species up.
Genus language. We're talking about race and we're talking about race in genus language, not in like in genetic language, not in social language.
So by race, you meant species.
Like we're not really race. Yeah, we're not really races. We're more like subspecies of each other within the same species. Isaac, the guy I was talking to before. Chris, did you give him the link, man? That's kind of rude, dude.
I know. I am sorry. I honestly just wanted to hear you guys talk to him, and I figured that if you didn't want to talk to him, you could just kick him off right away, and it wouldn't be a huge.
All right. Well, you apologize.
Right. But to be fair, I mean, was like when he actually came on and started talking to you, was he being super rude?
No. But he came in with the pretense of being rude, as in coming in without being invited in the first place.
It's the principle of the matter. Like, why would you just?
Why is this going to get into like the immigration debate about illegal immigration? Illegal immigration, like you already did an illegal thing by coming in illegally, right?
Cool. Well, I mean, I've been listening for the most part since I left, and there's a lot of things you guys said that I disagree with.
Isaac, where do you come up with that everyone can live a happy life as a vegan? Because I definitely couldn't. So explain this.
That everyone could live a happy life as a vegan?
You had a happy life. I would be totally unhappy.
Fuck your mother and drown yourself, Isaac.
That's nice. That's nice. It's a nice argument.
Yeah, it's about as nice as you giving someone a link that you should give them.
Yeah.
I think that's considerably more mean. It's also, that's a great contribution. Anyways, I wanted to push back against this idea that vegans are just getting off on being more morally superior. First of all, that's just you guys kind of like.
But you don't think any of them are?
No, I mean, you just watch their behavior.
No, really quick.
No, it's obviously it's possible for obviously
it's not all
possible, but
not all. We all know.
No, but I mean, obviously the implication, at least that I perceived, was that vegans, generally speaking, get off on this feeling of moral superiority. However, I can tell you that I don't get off on that feeling. First of all, that's just you guys kind of psychologizing us from a distance and playing armchair psychologist.
You guys do the same thing, first of all. Second of all, we have engaged in contact with you before. No, you can't finish. I just cut you off to say that because it's important to say. Don't sit here and act all high and mighty like you guys don't do the same thing in reverse.
How am I acting high and mighty?
Shut the fuck up, Isaac. Get this guy out of here. Fuck him.
Oh, Devin.
He just keeps popping in and out.
I'm back. What did I miss? I'm back.
Oh, Isaac is back.
There's another problem too. They take it so serious and we don't, so that causes an issue as well. Because we just want to have fun and laugh, and they're all serious, so it's not going to work out well in the conversation.
Answer for giving out the stream link to people.
Yeah, you apologize though. I'll give you that once.
Okay.
Apologize. That's fine.
Like, are Richard and Isaac, the other one, like, are they the ambassadors of fucking veganism? I love how these guys run to them and they're like, "Oh, Daddy, I got a link for you."
If they're the ambassadors, then veganism is fucking doomed.
Doomed. Is so doomed. Good Lord.
All right, I just want to finish my point from before. So, do you guys get off if you see someone who's violating some kind of moral obligation, like you see someone who's stealing from another person or is assaulting another person or is killing or raping, do you get off when you say, you know what, that's just morally unjustified?
Well, the point isn't us. The point is there are people who do that, right? There are virtues.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, people like me.
So I didn't get that from you, but I do get that from other people who, like, let's just say from their behavior, you see that, right? You call out people who are virtue signaling. You've seen that, right? And you don't go against those people and say, well, you're just putting your projection onto him. How do you know he's virtue signaling? You don't know.
You realize, though, that, like,
exactly,
stealing is almost universally a thing, like, that everyone's against, and veganism is not something that's universal.
Yes, all of us view it as a moral.
Wait a minute!
Devin, shut the fuck up, you balding fuck.
My dick,
I'm bald too, motherfucker.
Isaac, nobody cares. You're so stupid. You're a waste of fucking time. You're in a room with my friends wasting my time. Leave. Get the fuck out. You are dull. You aren't bright.
A good way to spend time by having an hour and a half
conversation.
You are
worthless. Shut the fuck up.
You're a fucking idiot.
This dude out.
This is how you hide.
All right. I was like, all right.
That's how it works, Isaac. Do you see that? You're gone. You see that? Bitch. Motherfucker. I can't take these people. It's fucking aggravating. I'm like getting ready to go out to the gym. I'm just listening and I'm like, why is this person in my life? Why has Alf brought this to me? It's fucking disgusting. These people don't deserve to be talked to.
I find them kind of funny and entertaining sometimes. Anyway. I find funny is like he was trying to get to a certain point, and obviously us cutting us off and then veering into another way just means we don't care. But then he's like, no way, but I just want to finish this one. Obviously, the whole group of people here don't care. Do you do that at parties? Maybe just one point when everybody's bored and shit.
The guy was an obnoxious bore. Jesus Christ. It's aggravating. Anyway, have fun.
Devin,
Jesus.
go to the gym.
I'm going to the gym, but fucking Christ.
Oh my God. That was hilarious. Well, yeah, it is getting late too, and I got work at 3:30 in the morning.
You gotta sleep, do ya?
But I was having so much fun. I was like, I guess to stay up is kind of fun. We're not running away from an argument. We just don't care. Don't you notice? That's why I say, like, you don't read social cues and stuff. Like, he's trying to make a point.
Vegan Gains, debate me on why you don't beat your wife.
Cut him off over his point, and then
and if you fucking don't debate me, you're running away.
Yeah,
fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a stupid position to take, and there's no social cues taken. Like, we don't really care. That's
fine. I'll debate you. I'm not scared to prove how I don't beat my wife. He would take the fucking dumb bait too. Like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I got better things to do.
Coming from the wrong position in the first place. I find it so funny how they don't catch social cues and shit. It's like,
they don't understand those things, though.
That's what I was saying. Like, the big problem also is, to us, we're just doing this shit to, like, conversing with each other to have fun and doing live streams.
That's why I don't give out links. That's why, like, whenever I do hangouts, there's like 2 or 3 people max, because I don't want the link getting out. I don't want fucking, again, it always happens.
I want to do a hangout, and I just want to put the link out.
Yeah, we did that one time, and that was a
terrible affair.
That was a lot of fun the one time we did.
I think I'm gonna do it.
We got a lot of both sides kind of stuff.
Yeah, honestly, maybe we'll try and plan something, but I'm gonna try and do one in the next couple days too.
Last time we did that was when Little Peep came in and spurged out and fucking rage quit to go find more arguments and come back and then rage quit again. He did it like 3 times and then said he won the argument. Like, if you rage quit, you don't win.
Who cares about winning arguments? Can we just learn how to discuss? Can we just talk about shit?
That's kind of the point.
How do they know they won the argument?
They're
what's,
more
what's the tool that we measure that with?
Obviously, when you see it, it's only people who agree with them who say they win the argument. You know, people who agree.
Like,
with
we're not here winning this argument. We're just talking shit about vegans.
And I'm not trying. I'm not even trying to. Yeah, that's the point. The argument is towards me. I'm just here. I'm just talking. You're asking me to talk to you at arguments that you're throwing at me. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have to answer them because I'm not in the position to try to change anyone's mind. You're in the position to change my mind. So if you come at me with an argument, I don't like it, don't want to answer it, I can literally do that. You're not changing my mind with that. It doesn't work. You're going to have to go somewhere else or try a different approach. But they don't do that. They try you with the same approach over and over again. Thinking with the vast number of variety there is in humanity, thinking that's going to work on every human? Like, obviously not.
Have you ever had a beef Wellington?
I said no shit talkers.
Beef Wellington is beautiful.
Yeah. And I did talk to a vegan. I talked to a vegan for like an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours. Right?
What about a Wagyu? Have you ever had Wagyu steak?
Wagyu steak?
No, I have not. That shit's too expensive.
I'm dying to try it.
I would try it, but that's way too expensive for me. Those animals are treated quite well. They're massaged and kept, separate from other ones and shit. They aren't bred close together.
I heard that's a myth. And it's just
it's not, but it depends on the level of how much they do that, how much it's going to cost. Like there's
I heard that's
chunks
bullshit.
of the steak that no, it's not, man. It's really not. I've seen the whole documentary.
I heard it's just the breed of cow.
And there's different ones. Well, it's a Kobe cow. It's the breed of the cow that comes from that area. It is just their regular cow for them.
But it's not just because they have Australian Wagyu. They have it's not just Japanese.
Yeah, that's using Australian cows.
There's levels.
That's like only Kobe beef if it comes from Kobe cow, like that specific cow they have there as their regular cow.
Yeah.
And as Marino says, then they stab them. Stab
them in the neck.
Yep. Oh, Paul's the talking donkey's making me a fucking vegan intro, and I bet you any money there's going to be stabbing of cows in it. I just have this feeling.
Yeah, Muslims are going to be slitting throats.
Well, what's that? Oh, they've got an
shit. It just passed 2 days ago.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
I can't pronounce that bullshit.
Yeah, that fucking Muzzy event where they fucking cut up animals. It's fucking barbaric.
Man, mods are insane. It's just funny. It's funny that it devolved to this because I thought I was just gonna have a nice conversation with this dude, and then it was gonna end. We could discuss it a bit between us, and then all this shit started happening. They all started flooding in.
Stab them in the neck.
The thing is, they want to debate, and it's not even also like maybe the person doesn't even want to debate, but it's also a pressure too because when you look in the chats, all of them are throwing out debate arguments and stuff, so you can't even have a conversation.
Fuck them, man. Who cares?
Yeah. I was laughing.
What they want to do. They want to debate, and no one cares.
Like, I was laughing talking to him because he wants to. He's so formulaic and wanting to debate, and it's like I just want to have a conversation. You're here to convince me. I wanted to talk about it with you.
I don't even want to have a conversation.
Well, I wanted to. I was.
No, I hear you. I just like I don't give a fuck.
Have a conversation. Veganism. I'm not down to debate and like fight over shit, and I'm down to just have a discussion about how you view things and how I view things. Obviously, we're going to view things differently. I don't even see death as a horrible thing. I've had people say like, "Oh, isn't death suffering?" You're even just by like, how about if we kill animals humanely and give them a great life? You know what I'm saying? But then they'll be like, "Oh, but isn't death suffering?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. I don't think death is suffering."
What if you go in a tenth of a second? How the fuck could you?
Yeah, I think death is just a normal, middle ground thing. It's not negative or positive. In fact, that there might be a reason, an argument towards death being positive. Leading to better things. Right? So we got to die off to make way for the new, right? We pass our genes and then we got to die off so that you can take over. If we all lived forever, that might be a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? There might be problems going on.
Yeah, living forever is a bad idea because the planet can't maintain that.
That might be a problem. Sure. So death might actually be a beneficial thing, and it might be necessary for all we know. I mean, even beyond the point of not having space, it might be necessary with other implications with the species. Like maybe we just need to die off. I think if we didn't die,
first.
I think if we didn't die, we'd probably lose the ability to birth after some time.
Is vegan gains the Monday mat of veganism? Yes.
No, I don't know that. He doesn't flag people and shit.
Oh yeah, apart from the flagging bit, but
He's
everything
just
else.
kind of just spurgy as fuck about debating and wanting to fucking come at me, bro. Debate me, bro. He reminds me of those guys from Harold and Kumar. Remember? Extreme.
Oh man.
The surfer dudes. Everything's so extreme with them and shit. Like, dude, just chill out. How about have conversations with people? I think you'd probably do a lot better discussing and having a conversation with people than debating people. I think you would do a lot better. Oh, upload Chrissy to the cloud. Then I could download her.
Then we could make copies of her.
Oh, yeah. We can have as many Chrissies as we want.
3D print.
3D print Chrissies. Wow. You guys blew my mind. The future is beautiful.
We can have all the Chrissies we want. Anyway, it's getting fucking late here. It's like 1 a.m.
Yeah. I think I'm going to call it a night, too. And this.
Yeah.
I had fun for a bit. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Catch you later.
Thanks for entertaining us, Alf.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks everybody for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.